room takes forever to fill up.
Okay, and we are live. It didn't look like the intro just wanted to work, so. We have Brian S Staveley with us tonight. How are you doing, kind sir?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Oh, doing great. I'm happy you made it. I'm very excited about this. I've actually wanted to have you on for a while, so.
Perfect.
So I hear you're going to present to us some evidence because you do know we have a lot of people that, frankly, are very triggered by this topic for some odd reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, I've been dealing with that for many years now with this topic. I find it strange that people will get so far in their journey of trying to figure out what this place is and how it operates and whatnot. But then when it comes to the Mandela effect, they just completely shut it down. You know, it's really strange. Like, you know, I don't do it really anymore. But I mean, I spent like 4 years continually pointing out how highly Mandela affected everybody in the truth communities were, you know, over and over with things that they should know very well, you know. So it's weird. It's really weird. Like 80-90% of truthers, they kind of shut this down. What we're dealing with here is what this place and what this reality actually is. When you really start to get into it, it's actually one of the biggest things ever. Like, it's crazy that people would ignore reality shifts. And because the Mandela effect, make no mistake about it, it's a crappy name. You know, it just it turns people away. It really kind of minimalizes what this whole thing is. So if anybody out there doesn't know what a Mandela effect is, it's not about companies and logos and brands changing names. Maybe we can dispel some of those things real quick. I'll circle back to that. What the Mandela effect is something in this reality. When we speak of something being Mandela affected, it shifts, it changes, and the change that happens to it, it's not like something was swapped out. It's not like there was a new release. No, the change happens on the physical items retroactively all the way back to their origin point. That's what a real Mandela effect is. So for the people that do say, come on, logos change, companies change names, you think I'm going to deny that goes on? Of course that goes on, but that's well documented. And the people that say that, you obviously haven't done 1 minute of research, because you could easily you could look at things I present as Mandela effects, and you could say, hey, well, that's a company change, that's a logo change. And you could go look it up and come back and say, look, we debunked you. This is an official company change and you missed it. But it hasn't happened once yet, because that's not what the Mandela effect is. That's just what the deniers say, who won't look at it. So I know we got a pretty mixed crowd out here tonight, and that's cool. But it's so insulting when people say the Mandela effect's just bad memory. To all the flat earthers out there, I would say that's bad as somebody saying to you that flat earth is just bad science without looking. You know, it's the same nonsense. You need to look.
Well, I am surprised. I got 44 votes on the poll, and it says, do you use the evidence for Mandela effect as true? 72% yes. So that's actually for 45 votes, that's actually very good.
Yeah, that is good.
Actually,
it's positive, and that number would have been a lot lower a few years ago, you know, so it is coming along, but, you know, it's still, there's a lot of people that are highly affected by this and know it and hide it from people. And that's what I'm not cool with. Like, I understand that this is so hard for people to take in, and it might take them a while to come to terms with it, or there's some people that legitimately think it's a psyop because they've never looked, which is not okay. You need to look. But there are a large percentage of people that know this is real, but they won't talk about it and won't tell people. And that is not doing anybody any good.
Yeah, but the alarming thing, like what I was telling you earlier, is I don't understand why it triggers the flat earth people so much, especially the bigger channels. Why they're trying to push this topic aside. I mean, if you know we've been lied to about things, you're supposed to be looking at every avenue. And it's kind of like they're going out of their way to make this look like it's rubbish for some odd reason.
I'm glad that I'm glad you're saying this and not just me. So when did you start to notice that? And like, did you notice it a while ago? Because it's been frustrating me for years. I mean, I've done many videos talking about this very thing.
Yeah, no, it's been all over. I mean, even I think you've also been speaking about it with Owen Benjamin. I think you've been talking about it. Yeah. I mean, I've even seen Nathan Oakley saying he doesn't want to talk about it and stuff. And I mean, everybody knows I am a Nathan Oakley fan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just some things that just trigger some people some reason. And with the flat earthers, it just triggers them the most for some, I don't know why, but to me, I think it's not a psyop because it literally has a whole bunch of evidence linked to it. And I think it's also got to do with a spiritual battle. So it's very important to get talked about. And if anybody is on the opinion that it's rubbish, well, I respect that. And just as I expect them to respect our opinion about the subject.
Yeah. And a few things, like, the biggest thing. So I've been doing this type of thing for 13 years now, almost, right? Since 2010, right? So we're in the 13th year. I was doing podcasts on my website and all this before I was doing any YouTube 5 years ago, right? So this whole time I've been doing this, I was really, really, if you ever want to do a 9/11 show, I'm your guy, just like I'm your Mandela guy, trust me, but it will get pulled off YouTube. So, but, as far as that and, getting into all of these other lies and whatnot, what I keep learning along my way, especially, this is what I thought all of us learned going through the flat earth journey, is to learn to trust our senses, to trust our experiences, and trust what we observe. But then when it comes to the Mandela effect, most of these people do a complete 180 on that and don't trust their senses, don't trust what they observe, don't trust what they've experienced over and over in their life. Some of these things we've experienced thousands of times, we know so well, and they've changed, and they want to just throw all that out to bow down to what this system supposedly is and how they think they know reality works. Guys, I'm sorry, but as big as it is, flat earth isn't the end all be all. Mandela effect isn't the end all be all. We don't know what happens when we die. We don't know what the answers are about God. Like, there's so much, the journey's never going to end, but there is, and I experienced a little bit this with the 9/11 guys too. There's a little bit, quite a bit of an ego of like, we reached the finish line of truth type of mentality that people get. And they think that I think that they're too comfortable in their truth. And I do think that this is the biggest paradigm changer. We're talking about the land map. Here's the thing too. Oh, well, why would they change just movie lines and all that? That's just you speaking because you've never done anything more than look at disinfo pieces on it, because that's where the disinfo pieces put you. Any article, I've heard people tell me, oh, well, they wouldn't address it in the media if it was real. They misrepresent it in the media, just like they misrepresent anything in the media. They misrepresent it. Here's the thing. So the Mandela effect, when these things change, right, we have evidence, and we're going to get into some of it tonight in a little bit for sure. I'll have some things to show. What we call residue. So when something changes, it's only the official whatever. So if a verse in the Bible changes, the verse in the Bible changes. If the verse in a movie changes, right? Well, people that have done like parodies on that movie line, it'll remain. There'll be merchandise that can remain, all sorts of things. When these articles come out, talk about Mandela effects, there's a lot of things they don't do. They'll never, ever talk about changes to the human body. They'll never talk about Bible changes, and they'll never talk about the land masses of the earth being in the wrong place. Never. They'll only talk about movie lines and logos and brands. For the most part, they're presenting what are actually legit Mandela effects, but they're leaving it out there to look like it's just some companies can change and you just got to go look. And of course, people aren't going to go look. They're just going to dismiss it. Okay. And the most dishonest thing that they do is, and we'll get into some of it tonight, there's tons of physical evidence that backs, hundreds of years of newspaper archives talking about, things that don't exist anymore, like tons of evidence of things. They don't even mention that in these articles. They don't even mention that there's residue at all, ever. Mm-hmm. So people just think it's a memory game. And then if they do realize it's real, right? Just like with anything, this is gatekeeping. So like, let's say you're looking at the Apollo moon footage, right? and you realize the footage is fake, right? Well, they have these other stories of why the footage is fake, but they still really went to the moon, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is how they do it, right? So if you realize, if you're like, no, I know the Monopoly man had a monocle, I don't accept that this reality says he's never had a monocle, because now in this reality, the Monopoly man has never had a monocle. If you remember him with a monocle, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. Okay? There's tons of evidence. Exactly. You're not crazy. So if you don't accept that and you say this Mandela effect is real, I know some things at least are real about it and it's changing. Well, there they are to direct you towards CERN and D-Wave, and you're living in a simulation. And I think
that's actually very interesting if you think about it. Like the Bible talks about where the Antichrist will be in the Lord. I mean, look where it's situated in the Bible. It's literally where CERN is.
Yeah.
What did I tell you?
Yeah.
What do you think CERN's trying to do with a God particle? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know what they're really doing, but I certainly don't think they're causing the Mandela effect.
Yeah, I just think no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's very weird and coincidences that they trying weird stuff.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's all got to do with really ritualistic spiritual battles. How can I put it? The in your face without trying to tell you.
It's definitely spiritual. I mean, look at some of the messages in the Bible. And, if this wasn't legit, right? If this wasn't legit, this is a little experiment. I like a little thought experiment. I couldn't really do this because I'd get arrested. But let's say you locked 100 people in a grocery store, right? 100 adults, you lock them in a grocery store, and you ask them some of these Mandela effects, right? I mean, some of these, the amount of people that are going to get the answer wrong and in unison, it's astronomically off the charts in favor of what's never existed. I'll give you an example, right? And here's one that has some significant residue we can talk about. If I was to walk up to 100 people and ask them, what's the quote that they say that the witch says in Snow White into the mirror, right? They're going to say, mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall. Everybody's going to say mirror, mirror on the wall. 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 Now in this reality, it's always been magic mirror. But it's not, if 20 out of the 100 people said mirror, mirror, even though it's never been that, we'd have something to investigate here. But it's not going to be 20. It's not going to be 30. It's not going to be 40. It's not going to be 50, 60, 70, 80. Or it's going to be at least 95% out of the 100 people are going to tell you mirror, mirror on the wall. But now that Disney movie, the one that we all grew up with, she looks in the mirror and says, magic mirror.
Magic mirror.
And you know what? And you know what's interesting about, besides the fact that we have all sorts of T-shirts, figurines, cups from Burger King. I mean, Disney even themselves made a movie with the live action characters instead of animated people in like 2012 based on Snow White. I think Julia Roberts was in it or somebody like that. They titled it Mirror, Mirror. Because that's the famous line, right? They did a movie this last year, animated movie. Not animated, live action characters again called Disenchanted. They quoted it twice. Mirror, mirror. Walt Disney is the guy that owns the movie. Walt Disney, it was his first huge animated major release in the 1950s. I got him on video quoting it. Mirror, mirror. Now here's the best piece, I think, of this one. So this movie is so popular, it's in all these other languages dubbed over, right? So what's a Mandela effect? It's the original thing changing, right? But a dubbed over movie, that's not the original audio track. The dubbed over audio tracks on the German, the Italian, the French, the Dutch, and I don't know how many other versions, they still say mirror, mirror, even though we're supposed to believe it's never been mirror, mirror.
But that's also funny because then they make excuses like, oh, it's just how they translated it.
Yeah. Yeah, they just did the whole movie without a script, right? Like they just went through and railed off the whole movie, If this wasn't real, let's take it to a more serious level, because some people are like, well, this movie stuff's stupid. Let's talk about the Bible. And I'm not a big Bible guy, right? But I mean, I approach past it, and I just did it again 3 days ago with my spy glasses. I approach pastors and preachers that are on the street, anybody that's waving the Bible, and I walk over to them and I ask them some of these verses. And every single time they say it the exact way the entire Mandela effect community has been saying for years, okay? And one of my favorite ones, because this ties right into what's been going on in the last 3 years, and we'll be careful with that, and, we don't have to get too far into that, but we all know what the agenda is. And, there was a change that happened to Scripture just before that, and that's Matthew 18:20. So anybody that's in the chat, I will, lead a question here, and you fill in the blanks. And I know you guys are on a delay, so I'll just keep rolling after I say it. It starts like this. We have to or, and then we'll let you guys fill it in. It's one of the biggest ones ever. And so what it was where two or more gather in my name, there I will be in the midst. Okay. Mm-hmm. That changed to where 2 or 3 are gathered. Now, that changed right before the thing started 3 years ago, where everybody wants to think that they're sick. Okay. So think about the context of this. 2 or more are gathered, there I will be in the midst, talking about the presence of God will be there for any size gathering. Then it changes to where 2 or 3 are gathered, like a limited gathering. And months later, who were the first people to start limiting gatherings was the churches. It's a big deal.
It's like it was it was almost like it was scripted to be that way.
Exactly, man. And we see this over and over. And so that's one of my favorite ones. So I walk up to pastors and preachers on the street. I mean, there was one I did a couple of years ago at Huntington Beach. I was there to talk to people about what was going on. But I see these guys talking about Jesus and holding the Bible. So I walk over. It's all on video. You guys can watch all these videos. And I asked them these verses. And I asked them Matthew 18:20. I had the 3 guys apart from each other, not even within earshot. And I was asking each one of them. They all said where 2 or more are gathered. They all told me how much they knew the Bible before they, I had them look and all this, the whole thing. They've been teaching it for this many years. And I have them open up their Bibles on camera. And of course, they all say 2 or 3. And anybody out there that might be like, well, we know there's many translations of the Bible. I'm challenging you right now. Do you remember where 2 or more are gathered in my name? You can't show me a Bible, even the one that's in your house, where it says that. It's a universal change. And there are changes that are specific to certain Bible versions, particularly the KJV. And I'm very specific when I bring those up. And I'm going to tell you one of them right now because I know this word wasn't in there. When I first got into flat earth in 2014, right? So let's paint the picture a little bit. 2014, there's really not much out there at all. The only person that you guys might know that had videos was Matt Boylan at the time, right? Then 2015 rolls around. You start to see Facebook groups pop up and stuff. And then you start to see like a lot of debates, a lot of conversation between Christian-based flat earthers and Christian-based globers. And then real quickly, the flat earthers will go to the well and talk about, there's this many references to, flat and motionless earth within the Bible and all this, right? And then when it gets to the next level, it would be, and planets aren't even in the Bible. And not one globe believer, one Christian globe believer ever brought back the Bible and said, what are you talking about? Planets is right here, because it wasn't in there. Okay. It wasn't in there. And now planets is in the KJV. Also, for the people that think I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't have the history with the Bible. Oh, I'm very well versed. I did a video because people look and rest in peace. I know he's not here right now. I'm not making fun of the guy. I'm using him to make a point. I made a video about Rob Skiba because Rob Skiba was doing a presentation to use about biblical cosmology, to use scripture to prove that the earth was flat. Okay. And as he's doing this presentation, he's got, and people in the community would say he's one of the more well-versed flat earthers on the Bible. Okay. He'd be the guy to do it. And I'm not saying he wasn't. He's got a screen behind him and he's telling people and literally like this specific. And the word planet doesn't exist in scripture. It's not anywhere in scripture. He's telling you audibly. He's got it up on his presentation. Well, now it's in there. And when I brought this up to him, it caused a huge issue. And it ended up him coming down to saying somehow it crept in there later on. And it's like, dude, it's in every KJV all the way back. All the way back to 1611. That's a huge deal. So if there's warnings of Rona in there and there's heliocentrism in there now, you guys don't want to know about that? You guys don't think that's a big deal?
I think it's a big deal. Definitely. But I mean, look at the lion and the lamb argument as well. I mean, that also brought up quite a lot.
And that's another one where, and I've proven this, okay, for people that think we don't do any investigation, you guys are out your mind. I talk to people in the street all the time and film. I go up to the people that would be experts in these fields, like pastors and preachers. I just went up to 3 Jehovah's Witnesses on video 3 days ago with my spy glasses on. and I saw that they have a stand out there. It says free Bible courses. So they're like teaching the Bible. Well, that's not what's really going to go down when I go over there, right? So I know I have my spy glasses in the car. I go get them. I come back and I'm just talking to them. And then I asked them, and I pretended like, I kind of knew what I was talking about, but not really. And I'm like, hey, yeah. And I would talk to him for a few minutes. I'm like, my friend told me about this verse that sounded really profound, and maybe you could give me some context to it. I make them give me the context and everything, dude. And she's like, oh, what is it? I'm like, something about a lamb and another animal in the book of Isaiah. Oh, she's like, oh yeah, it's Isaiah 11:6, and it's the lion and the lamb and ba. And then I had to tell them after that, do you think that the word can supernaturally change? What do you mean? And I had to explain to them. I'm like, well, it's a little weird because everywhere around the world, and you know this, there's monuments to the lion and lamb. There's churches named the lion and the lamb. There's endless songs named the lion and the lamb because it was the lion and the lamb. I've asked so many people, including pastors and preachers. You should see the videos the Mandela Effect community does if you people don't look. I mean, we've looked at so many people up in front of their congregation saying it the wrong way. Nobody says wolf until we make them aware of it. It was the lion and the lamb. And it's depicted everywhere. And people come up with the worst excuses. They try and say things like, oh, you got it off a couple of Christian rock songs. Dude, we got evidence going back 400 years, dude. 400 years. It's absolutely endless. You guys try it yourself. You don't have to just take my word. Go out on the street. Go on the street. Do some investigation. Don't give people a multiple choice. Don't lead them with the answer. Don't give them two images to look at. You ask them the question with a blank word that they need to fill in one way or the other, and you'll see what happens.
But you see, that's the thing that I think what they do is to try and hide it, to try and make it look like it's rubbish. They go and they do stupid things like what's that monkey that doesn't have a
Curious
tail?
George.
George, that kind of thing. So the people see things like that and like, oh no, and then they just see it as an idiotic thing, and then they just push the whole subject away because it's kind of like a reverse psychology kind of thing. If you think, oh, but it's just nonsense, you're not going to look further. And I think that's what catches the people in the beginning.
Yeah, because they get connected to that. Absolutely. Well, so when I first started looking at it, it was like, so like I said, by the end of 2014, I was looking into flat Earth a lot. At least I was looking into the flights, the issues in the Southern Hemisphere, and a few other things, and leading into 2015. And then I heard about the Mandela effect like in early 2015. And all I heard about was the Berenstain Bears. But I knew that I don't doubt myself. I knew it was Berenstain and not Berenstain. I used to have the books, but it didn't really stick with me until several months later. I got hit with two really big ones. And the reason these are so big is this is different than, because I'm not even a Bible guy. So I talk about it because I'm spot on with it, and I know it should really move people, and especially people where they hold the book near and dear to them, so, and they can interpret the changes any way they want that goes with their way of thinking. I just want to make people aware of it. I don't have anything vested in it. I've never even read through the Bible, but you'll see, because there's like we talked about David earlier, and there's other people that are very well versed on the Bible in the Mandela community. And if my Mandela facts in the Bible weren't legit, you better believe they would call me out on it. You know what I mean? It's just not gonna fly like that. So I only cover like 15, 20, 30 of them, right? There's like thousands of changes. I mean, there's just endless changes. But what happened to me is it was a geography change and a historical event. Now these are big deals. The land masses of the earth are in the wrong place. So let me describe what that means before we get into any specific examples. Okay. I know that NASA fakes their imagery. Okay. I hope everybody in this chat knows that, but doesn't try and use that against me for what I'm about to say, because that doesn't matter for this conversation. I'm going to tell you why. We know that NASA fakes their imagery. We know maps and projections and all different versions and made for different reasons. We know they have land, all these things that we know, right? But when I tell you that the land masses have changed and the maps have changed and the globes have changed, this is what you need to remember. And we know they manipulate Google Earth. This is what you need to remember what I'm saying. When I say that they've changed, I mean, if you remember these landmass changes that we're about to talk about, if you remember it like I do, You go pull out a map from an encyclopedia or off your wall, a globe from the basement, whatever it is, and you're going to see that the land masses are not where we remember them. So the big one for me, and the big one for most people in the Mandela effect community, the biggest one is South America. So like right now, if I were to ask people where in I'll ask the chat, you know, and if you you know, been in Mandela effect community for a while and you know the answer, I'm just asking you to type what you always remembered it to be before the change, and everybody type what you remember this as. In relative to North America, where would you people all say South America is? Relative to North America, where is South America? And some of these questions that you ask people, they almost sound stupid when you ask them, right? But anybody that's listening, if you were thinking or you were about to type, because I just want to keep going here, if you were thinking that, well, North America is North America and South America is South America, it's underneath it. You know, it's like right under it, you know. Well, will I be able to get a screen share in a second?
Oh, yeah, you can do screen share. You can just press present and you can.
Let me see, Google Earth.
Because I think it's more like west.
Yeah.
Eastly.
Yeah, so it's way east now. So if you were to look, and I don't know why let me try and open a window real quick. I really want to bring this up on Google Earth so I can show you.
I also realized that. I remember when I was studying geography in school, it was, I can remember the south. And lately I wasn't, because I mean, I like looking in cartography and stuff, and I've seen it more easily.
Oh, yeah, dude. And I got it up now. So I'm going to get into a screen share so I can show a couple geography changes real quick. Okay.
Sure.
Let's see. Here we go. You got my window now?
Yeah, I'm going to add it there. Okay, it's up.
All right. Hold on. This is just upside down and everything. Let me just fix the orientation here. So before I spin it over there, I know this is all messed up. First of all, we know we're looking at a fake globe. We know Google Earth is fake. We know obviously what the globes they give us are fake. Everybody here knows that. We're not going to be fooled by fake imagery. Okay, keep that in mind. What I'm saying. But North America, South America is no longer underneath North America. It's about 1,500 miles over to the east. Okay, and not only that, there's two changes here. So before I scroll down, I'm going to say the second one. So I remember North America, South America, right underneath it. Maybe a slight bit over to the right, which would be the east, just a tiny bit, but it's pretty much lined up. Now South America is so far over to the right, which is the east, towards Africa, that the west side of South America is lined up with the east coast of the United States. But not only that, this is a question you can ask people. If I were to ask you guys in the chat, what direction does the Panama Canal run? What would you guys say? So, and this is where we're going to bring up a subject matter expert as well. I love that word, right? Subject matter expert. Well, looking out. And here's the other change. And the other change is, I remember Cuba being a small island to the southeast of Florida. So if you guys remember Cuba being a small island, well, guess what? Cuba is now the size of Florida, and it's not just east of it, it's getting west of it. And it's almost connected to Mexico now. This is not how Cuba was.
I remember Cuba as almost like the Bermuda there, as like three times. That's how I remember Cuba shown.
Yeah, look how big it is, dude.
Yeah, that's insane.
It was never to the west of Florida, and look at South America. So I'm going to zoom out a little. Look how far over it is, and we can look at it on a flat map after too, so it's a little easier to visualize. Here's the west coast of it. Here's the east coast of the U.S. It used to be over here, and look, it's moved so far east that it's forced Central America. Used to connect here, and the Panama Canal was east and west. Now it's connected to the west side of South America where Colombia is, and the canal is going this way. That's crazy to me.
Did you ever play that game Risk? You remember that Risk game? Yeah.
No, I never played it, but I've seen the residue. I've seen it right underneath there on that. Yeah. People have showed me that. You know what people have said to me? They told me that's the only reason I think South America is the whole Mandela effect community is because we get risk. I swear to God, dude. Oh man. So so again, if you remember South America being over here and you remember Cuba as a small island, being right here, a small island to the southeast of Florida, you're Mandela affected. Okay. And if you don't remember that, there's thousands of other changes but here's the thing. I reckon most people do remember that. Be honest with yourself. You don't have to type in the chat and say, okay, I'm coming out now. I'm going to admit this is real, but we want you to think about this seriously. And what you need to do is, if you remember Cuba as a small island and you remember the Panama Canal east and west, then all you need to do is try and verify what I'm saying. Try and debunk me and say, no, this has just been changed. They're fucking with us. This is a psyop by Google and NASA and whoever else. I'm going to go home, and I know I got a dusty globe in the basement from 30 years ago. I'm going to pull it out, and this small island's going to be here, and South America is going to be over here, and there is no Mandela effect. You won't be able to do it.
Yep.
And there's a lot more land changes, but I don't want to stay on that too long. But this and the changes to JFK, which we can definitely get into, are the two big early ones for me that really got the ball rolling, if you will,
The one thing, but the one thing I like what you usually say, everybody's been Mandela affected. It's just simple. Yeah. Everybody has to accept it. It's simple as that.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. So what people want to do when they're trying to fight this is they're just going to look for one that they disagree with and try and dismiss the whole thing. And it's like, well, what about the other 50 we just talked about? We're not saying it's not. See, my theories on this aren't, it's all or nothing. We didn't come from one place and came here. I don't believe in timeline shifts. We'll talk about all that a little later on, but that's not how this works. For whatever reason, we're perceiving this reality, probably because it's, we're perceiving all the frequencies and we're vibing at the same similar levels. A lot of us, we're perceiving this reality very similar to each other, but not always exactly the same and not at the exact same time, Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So land masses of the earth are in the wrong place. People have risen from the dead. We can touch on that after. And of course, there's huge historical changes, which is some of my favorite. And we can start with JFK if you want. And there's this whole thing with Germany that we're definitely going to get into, where there's all these attacks on American soil now from Germany that never happened in my timeline. And they just keep piling up. And they're gigantic. I'm not talking about something little could have swept under a rug. So we can do that, and we can take it whatever direction you want. We can definitely gonna run down like 50 Mandela effects at one point real fast to show people how affected they are. I do want to just get at least one historical one in to show people how significant this is, and it's not just those media ones and all that. It's not just an American thing. We have people in all different countries. But when you ask me, oh, well, why don't I talk about the changes in Russian, for instance? I don't fucking speak Russian. I don't know their products, their TV shows, There's definitely changes, though,
But I remember talking to Michael and PJ when Nelson Mandela supposedly died. What we remember here in South Africa is totally different what they would remember there in Europe, in England. It's weird. They believe him to have died twice. We saw it as he died and they just had a double for him or something, and he was on ice because they didn't want to revolt and all that. So it's weird the different stories that came out for the same.
And this is why I don't trust that story at all. And you'll find that when you ask the people, the Mandela effect community, especially the ones that I would consider the veterans, you don't really ever hear any of them talk about that as one of their big Mandela effects. And in fact, I know that some people do remember that. I'm not dismissing the whole thing here. I'm just saying there's a lot of us that definitely don't remember that. And even if it is remembered by some people, just like you alluded to, is what I had alluded to, there could be fake deaths, swaps, all sorts of, and this is a big psyop they're running to discredit the Mandela effect. So they probably had this planned even way back when all that was going on in real time. And they could have done all of that to muddy the waters for this. And again, these disinfo articles, they always mention Nelson Mandela and Fiona Broom every time. And Fiona Broom, I saw people leave comments on I think it was on your Mandela effect stream that you did the other day, which was good, by the way. Left a comment like, oh, a witch invented this. A witch didn't invent shifts in reality. They just named the gatekeeper as somebody that coined it, the Mandela effect. And that's the gatekeeping. And you're falling for it. If you look around, where is Fiona Broom? Like, seriously, like, so I know people will point, and I'm not saying any of these people are shills. I'm just saying people point fingers in flat earth, right? Oh, Eric's a shill, Mark's a shill, Bob's a shill, this person's a shill, that person's a shill, right? But in reality, you can like talk to these people, right? You can make your own decisions on people, and these are real people that are actually around. Nobody talks to Fiona Broome. She's not on anybody's channel. She doesn't do videos. Nobody I know in the Mandela community has ever had a conversation with the entity known as Fiona Broome. The person might not even exist.
You never know. Yeah, it could just be a.
So she's got nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with us. You know what I mean? Nothing to do with us.
I'm interested in the Germany thing you want to bring up.
Sure, absolutely. So this is actually. What are you gonna say?
No, I was going to say thank you again for coming on. I'm really enjoying this, and I hope everybody in chat's enjoying it. It's good to see. We're doing about 90 to 100 people live, so that's actually very good. Thank you guys all for coming.
Yeah, awesome. And guys, I appreciate anybody that is on the fence or hasn't accepted this or whatever. I appreciate you being here, and maybe I hope later in the show we can dedicate a little time to answer some questions from the chat after we really lay out a bunch of it. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Yeah, guys, have any questions? It will definitely be appreciated if you want to ask anything.
Yeah, man, I'll answer any question the best that I can, and I understand that this seems impossible. Okay, and so did Flat Earth, but that doesn't mean just because Flat Earth's true, you have to take on every other thing that comes along either, because there's a lot of bullshit out there. So you do need to use discernment and everything. I'm not expecting you just to believe one thing because you believe another. I'm just saying from the that's too crazy aspect. Look what we've been up against. Now we realize outer space, at least as presented, is fake. Space travel by humans is fake. The media is completely fake. The medical, the food, the history, like the reality is fake, is what I'm telling you. The whole reality that we've been presented is fake. When I say fake, I don't mean we're in a computer or anything like that. Let's talk about Germany. So this right here is actually my biggest Mandela effect. So if you want to say, Brian, what's your number one Mandela effect? It's this right here. So if I would ask people in the chat if you know anything about, if I said these two words to you, Black Tom, what would that mean to you? And, I have asked everybody you could imagine. There is one guy that keeps leaving comments. He's like, I told you I remembered. I had one guy that told me he remembered it, but you go around, you lock other people in a grocery store. Here we go again, right? And you will ask them, what do you think about Black Tom? Every single person is going to be like, who's that? Who the hell is he? These are the answers I have gotten. Black Tom isn't a he. It's an event. Okay. But that's how little people know. They have no idea what this is. Now, I'm very passionate about what I do, and I put this much time into 9/11 as well. And I know a lot of you guys did. So many of us when 9/11 Truthers back in the day, spent so much time researching and every documentary, even though most turned out to be a lot of disinfo, right? But all the footage we could see. And I was the media fakery guy. Like, I looked at so much fucking footage for 9/11. Plus, we all get beaten into our heads certain things for patriotic reasons or whatever over the news, or for straight up racist reasons because they want you to hate other people. And all in school, there's all these things forced on you. And there's this event now. See, so if I were to ask everybody what is the first major foreign attack on U.S. soil, I know not everybody's from the U.S. here, first major attack on U.S. soil before 9/11, and every single time, what I would always hear, whether it was in 9/11 circles, the mainstream, Pearl Harbor, Pearl Harbor, Pearl Harbor, Pearl Harbor, we were always taught Pearl Harbor was the first major attack. Well, now there's another attack. I almost said the first is now this, but now it just keeps changing because more events keep coming in with this. Now, in 1916, and listen how big this and where it is. In 1916, 2 German spies snuck in through New Jersey, blew up a munitions depot with what we're calling the largest man-made non-nuclear explosion in the history of the world. The largest man-made explosion in the history of the world. Okay, I don't believe in nuclear explosions, so we're just going to call it the largest man-made explosion in the history of the world, is what they're calling it, with 1 million pounds of TNT. Okay, and it's in New York City. It blew up. It killed 4 people, injured 120, blew out all the windows of Lower Manhattan. Okay, and on top of that, it damaged the Statue of Liberty so bad that nobody's ever been to the torch since 1916. Now, there's a lot of problems with this as far as reality goes. Number one is How does the largest explosion in the history of the world happen in New York and nobody's ever heard of it?
No, I've never heard of it.
Nobody's. It's ridiculous. Then on top of it, okay, 9/11 happened in New York. Like, you're gonna tell me that this isn't mentioned? How New York was attacked in 1916. The symbol of freedom was damaged so bad that nobody could go up to her church and all of this, right? The idea that nobody's heard of it in the biggest city ever in the country, right? With all these people and the media capital of the world. We know what New York is, right? It's absolutely absurd. But here's what's even crazier for the people that would still go to the lengths and say, well, they just swept it under the rug. People have been to the torch in my reality. And I've spoken to people that have been in the torch. But now that's an impossibility in this reality that they would have been to the torch because it's been closed for 107 years.
But I'm sure I can remember some people trying to show a video of them standing the torch and looking out in the ocean.
That's the crown, not the torch.
Oh, yeah, that's the crown.
The videos that are out there now still is the crown, but the torch now has been closed for over 100 years. And I've spoken to people that have been in the torch. And of course, with the Mandela effect, for people that don't know, and we'll get to the thinker statue and stuff in a little bit and really break this down. When let's just say something simple, Berenstein, right? Berenstein changed to Berenstain. What happens if I took a photograph or a video of my Berenstein book before it changed, and then the change happened, and I put the video in? The video is going to reflect the change. It's going to say Berenstain. Okay, it's going to say Berenstain on it. So that's what happens when you document a Mandela effect with photo or video. It's reality. So if anybody had pictures of them being in that torch, those pictures aren't going to exist anymore.
Yeah, that's odd.
Yeah, so that's a huge one for me. And then there's another one on top of that, which is like, dude, now there's an event called Torpedo Alley where 5,000 Americans were killed. 5,000 Americans were killed, and 500 of their ships, merchant marine ships, were sunk right off the coast here in North Carolina by 8 German submarines in the 1940s. And nobody's ever heard about that either. Like, and there's more. And just a couple weeks ago, so remember 2 years ago, everybody was talking about that thing at the Capitol building in the United States. Do you remember that?
Which one? There's so much.
Yeah, it was just a big story that people would talk about, and there were like a lot of people storming the Capitol building, and it was getting a lot of coverage on YouTube and stuff like that. Well, anyways, never mentioned an attack on the Capitol building, and now the Germans bombed the Capitol building in 1915, and the guy that did it then went to J.P. Morgan's house and supposedly shot him twice and tried to assassinate him. Never heard about that either. Like,
I don't know if it's maybe just because I'm in South Africa.
Yeah, no, I would understand. I don't pay attention to that stuff, but
yeah.
Wild.
But yeah, it's amazing how much things they actually hide the truth from people, or they make different stories. I mean, let's just say some countries you get a total different story, so you don't really know what's going on because they say something.
Oh yeah.
Which is totally different from you guys that side.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of other attacks. I would like to mix it up real quick and just to show people a little something, a couple significant Mandela effects, some really big ones, and then maybe we can run through 50 changes. I can just rail them off real fast and just kind of make people step back a little bit. So I'm going to ask for a screen share if that's cool with you.
Yeah, no, go ahead. You can screen share anytime you want.
All right.
So set it up.
We're going to show some significant Mandela effects here.
I remember when I had hair. Does that count? But then again, thanks all for coming. Good to see you. I see so far we got 114 votes in the poll, and it's 62% yes still. So It's good to see so much people are actually awake to this.
Yeah, dude.
I find it very important to challenge yourself with every aspect of topics that come across your way. Not just to dismiss it just because it seems illogical and stupid to you, but actually delve deep into it and then figure out, is it really fact or not? But for me, it's overwhelming evidence.
Yeah, so let's have a look at. You see my picture folder? Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the creation of Adam is a huge one. Okay, so first off, we're just going to show some residue, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like. And that is
Awesome.
not opening up. Hang on, I got to get a different screen share, I think. Here we go. You see my picture now?
There we go. Yeah.
Okay, so this is, obviously an imitation. He's giving God the finger, right?
Yeah.
This is residue of what we remember. Remember God. Now, what this is they're depictions of the creation of Adam, which is a painting on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. It has nothing to do with media. It has nothing to do with American only. It has nothing to do with the product change. These are iconic artworks and monuments that we're going to look at right now. Okay, so what we're looking at is residue of what we remember. Remember God reaching down at a 45-degree angle. This is the key thing. I remember God doing this and pointing his finger towards Adam to provide the divine spark, okay? That's why all these images are depicted this way. God is reaching down at an angle to man, okay? I mean, some of these are stupid. Some people might get offended by some of them, but that's all it is, okay? Now, if you were to go and look at what the actual painting looks like now, because it's changed, look at this now. Now God is actually man. So that's like a message.
Even the angle, it's like he's brought him down to his level.
Yeah, he's down to his level, and Adam's got this, like, he's a little higher than God, but he's got this limp wrist thing going on. That's not how this image was. This has been here for hundreds of years. It's very significant. So you got changes in the Bible, like the wolf is now dwelling with the lamb instead of the lion lying with the lamb. You've got man higher than God, right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of weird. The song by the Mamas and the Papas used to say, have a line. There's a lot of this messages in music. I stopped by a church and I got down on my knees and I began to pray. And now that song says, I got down on my knees and I pretend to pray. There's a lot of these types of messages. Yeah, a lot of these messages. A song by Jewel. I don't know if you're familiar with Jewel. She's a singer from Canada. Yeah. She has a song that's called Who Will Save Your Soul. Very popular song. If you listen to it now, even though it's still titled Who Will Save Your Soul, it says Who Will Save Your Souls with an S throughout the whole song, other than like one exception near the end. It always said soul. The song by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Under the Bridge, it's the city I live in, the city of angels. He's singing about Los Angeles, which is known as the Angels. The music video, he's in the streets of Los Angeles. That says angel now, singular. So it says the city of angel. It's the city I live in, the city of angel. Like what angel, right? And then if people want to talk about residue, like I got the Red Hot Chili Peppers live in 2 different concerts with like 100,000 people there singing their song the wrong way, the exact way the Mandela Effect people remember it, Angels, and the entire crowd is singing along with them. But you pop your own album in now. I'm not saying go download this song or go to Amazon Music or whatever you do. You pop your cassette tape in from the 90s.
And change.
These changes are going to be there every time. Every time. But this is significant, okay? Let's look at some more something else that's significant. If I was to ask everybody in the chat, I'm going to ask you what King Tut's headdress looks like. If I was to ask you King Tut's headdress, what's one of the most significant features on it? On his forehead. What would remember being on King Tut's forehead? I can be that specific and keep it honest. What do you remember being on King Tut's forehead when you think about the mask of King Tut? And then we're going to go and have a look at King Tut. Okay? So let me go back.
Snake, yeah. Cobra.
Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember a cobra as well. So
yeah.
now before, go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't mean to talk over you.
No, I'm saying I remember. Yeah, it's like a cobra, like sitting straight up, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I absolutely remember the cobra as well. And again, King Tut has nothing to do with media changes. It has nothing to do with re-released DVDs, companies changing names, American culture, regional marketing. It's got nothing to do with any of that, does it? It's actually, and I don't trust any dates that were given. You know, I almost said it's actually thousands of years old. I don't really know how old it is. It could just be hundreds of years old. Could be, you know, whatever. But we know it's mad old. It's an ancient, what do you call it? Like an artifact. And well, this is what I remember. This is residue. I remember it looking just like this. This isn't the actual one. It's a replica. This is what I remember. Snake in the forehead, right? I'm sure most people resonate with this. Snake in the forehead. Okay, now let's have a look. And King Tut now has always had a snake and a bird, and it's not even fucking symmetrical. This is how King Tut's always looked. Yeah.
No.
That's your reality now, and it's always been that way. And everybody that said cobra, or even if you didn't say it and you remembered a snake in the center and you thought nothing about a bird, guess what? The Mandela effect again.
But it looks so off. It's like it doesn't even fit. That's odd. Even the eye, the droopy eye. I don't even remember seeing the droopy eye.
No, me neither. Just not sure. Call that a Mandela effect. But and the crazy thing is, I believe that the Mandela effect, we'll talk more about a lot of the theories later, but I do believe most of it is coming from the creator. We're sent a lot of signs from the creator, warnings, messages, synchronicities. And I've been followed around with synchronicities with this King Tut Mandela effect. So I had a flat earth meetup in Charlotte, North Carolina, right? And we went out maybe the next day, not the meetup day. We went out like the next day and we went to get like lunch at this like restaurant / bar place, right? And I did a video. I have videos. All this stuff I tell you guys, just about everything is on video. So I sit down with like 10 or 15 flat earthers and we're waiting to get our meal or whatever. And I'm just getting impatient because service is slow. So I'm going up to the bar to get a drink. So I walk out to the left, maybe 20 feet. I bang a right and look at the bar. Full size. This bar had no Egyptian theme to it, no historical theme. A bunch of small 45 records hanging everywhere. That was the theme. I go and look at the bar. There's a 6-foot full-size King Tut replica next to the bar at my meetup. Just the snake. Just the snake. And there's one on the other side of the bar too, right? So I filmed that, did a video, showed everybody. That's significant residue. Why is there replicas with just the snake? Why could I show you endless images of it? Because that's what it was. That's what everybody remembers. Endless skits and parodies. People say, what about Steve Martin when he did it on Saturday Night Live? Go look at it. Just a snake, you know? I mean, I'm not saying there's no snake and bird anywhere, but it's almost all just a snake because that's what it was for so many years until like 6 years ago when this shift happened in our reality. But on top of that synchronicity at that meeting, this was this past summer. You know, Karen hosts the Flattoberfest every October. So we got 400 people at our event. Now, my thing at the event, I used to walk around the first few events all the time with my camera and do live streams outside a lot and ask everybody your biggest flat earth proof and your biggest Mandela effect. And you can see how it would make some people just so uncomfortable, right? And I would always do it, you know. So some people would give me good answers. Some people would give me the worst answers, you know, like, oh, you know, biggest Mandela effect is everybody used to think the earth was a globe. It's like, dude, no, okay? Let's take this serious, okay? I kind of gave up on doing that a little bit, but like, man, this is a huge Mandela effect. You know what happened at the event? I'm at the event, and I don't know if he's here right now, David Reif. He comes running over to me a few times, and he's like, King Tut. Now, I'm like, I'm filming for Karen's event with the cameraman. I've got him following me. I'm interviewing all the speakers, and in between, I'm going outside with my phone doing live streams, so I'm like really busy, so I kind of put off whatever he was telling me. I wasn't so focused on it, and I just found some little residue of King Tut, like maybe a poster or something. At the end of the night, he's like, dude, you got to come out back. I'm like, what's going on? We go out back, dude. There's 3 crates, wooden crates that are like 10 feet long, 6 feet high, 3 of them. One of the crates, big, huge crate, right? Had to be brought in by a truck and a forklift, you know? One of the crates of the wooden crates has a corner peeled back like this much, right? And inside it is this gigantic King Tut, like big King Tut statue with just the snake in the back of the fucking Flat Earth event in October by the dumpster. It's like, it's crazy, man.
Wow. No, but this is still kind of hitting me. It's like, I'm still trying to think.
Yeah. No, I'm glad it is, dude. And look, here's more snake, right? I mean, snake. And I got some significant residue that actually comes from some exhibits. Now, when they're doing replicas now of his mask, it's always going to be, you know, the new wave, any official exhibit. But there's some old exhibits where they had some interesting stuff with King Tut, just a snake.
I just have to say, Alan Northland, he says, I remember Earth being flat and stationary. Now they tell me it's a ball spinning through space. Wow.
Treasures from King Tut's tomb. Right? Look at this. But now look at his actual mask. Isn't that crazy? Yep.
It just looks so off. Especially if you're used to thinking of it just with the snake in the center.
Yeah. So let's talk about another one. Let's talk about the statue. I think that'll get really interesting right now. We should do that. Okay. So I'm gonna end my screen share, but I'm gonna grab it again in a minute. Okay.
Sure, mate.
So everybody, there's a famous statue by Rodin called the Thinker statue. Okay. I'm just gonna take this off. It's called the Thinker statue. And for what I always remember the Thinker statue being, the pose was it had its fist to its forehead and the right elbow to the right knee. And this was the Thinker pose. And this became very iconic. It's even a famous pose in bodybuilding now. I'm going to show you some residue, and then I'm going to show you some things that's just going to basically blow anybody's mind if they've never looked at this one. This topic gets deep, guys. This isn't just about music and media. The thing is, there's so much changing. Like, everything is changing.
But I think I remember when they showed Atlas as well holding the Earth. I think I remember when he was holding it on his neck. And holding it, and now it's literally just like this without the neck.
Oh, I didn't know about that. I've never even heard anybody bring that up. Can you give me the screen share?
I'll try and look for it.
You don't see it underneath you?
I'm trying to get. Yes, I'm just gonna get it up for you. There at the screen. Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, the Thinker, right? So let's talk about the Thinker. The Thinker. Where am I? Right here. So this is what it used to be like. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh, I don't get the right screen share. Hang on. My bad. I haven't used StreamYard in a long time. Here we go.
There we go.
Okay, so this is Arnold Schwarzenegger doing the pose. This is how I remember the pose, exactly like this. Now, for everybody out there that knows there's more than one change to this, I'll get there. But we're just going to talk about the major change at first and get into the residue, and then we'll circle back. So Arnold Schwarzenegger doing the Thinker pose. Okay. So I don't need to go and show you all the other residue of random people doing it. I could easily do that. I think you guys understand how that goes now, but I'm going to show you 3 significant images to look at. First one is this. So the Thinker statue now, look at the hand. The Thinker statue now has the fist underneath the chin instead of to the head. Underneath the chin instead of to the head. But look at the woman.
It's on by the head.
She's got it on the head. Why would you go in front of a statue and pose the wrong way? And why would that happen to match what all the Mandela effect people have been saying for years?
And why would he hold his hand like this, though? I mean, it would be
because that changed again after. So he went fist to chin, and then the hands orientation changed and went like that too. Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that because that's an incremental change rather than just the first. People say, "Oh, you always just got it wrong. You must have remembered it wrong." No, because then as we were watching it, it changed again, and then it changed the third time, which we'll talk about. So what's happening here in this photo, people? I'm going to explain. Like I said earlier, if you take a photo of something that gets Mandela affected, it shifts in the photographs and the videos. So when she went here, the statue had this pose to it. That's why she posed. Now, this isn't even close to the only example of this happening, just like this, all right? That's why she posed like this. The statue shifted to this orientation. The photo shifted. Now, check this out. Oh, it didn't just happen to her. Look at this guy. Look at the statue. The hands under the chin. It's kind of hard to tell because it's all bronze, but the hands right there. There's the chin and the eye.
Yeah, it's a sister like this, yeah.
Fist to the head. Now it's going to get even crazier. Now look at this one. an entire school field trip, goes to a thinker statue, hand under the chin, and they're all the wrong way. Look at that. And nobody's saying, hey, kids, you're all doing it the wrong way. They're all doing it that way because that's how the statue was. But now all the thinker statues around the world have shifted.
Face Reality just saying something. He says, hey, Flatter, I found the word planet twice in the 1526 original English translation Bible. It's referenced in the constellations, stars, light sources within the firmament, not terra firma.
Yeah. I didn't know it was in the Tyndale. I was never saying it wasn't. I was just saying it was definitely in the KJV and not in most other versions. And the Tyndale, I'm glad you brought that up because that has some interesting other verses that haven't changed. I'll give you another one, Face Reality. Let's talk a Bible verse real quick. Judge not lest ye be judged is a very famous Bible verse. And now in the KJV, it says the opposite. It says, judge not lest ye be not judged, which is like the complete opposite message. Now, there are Mandela effect channels that have called that a universal change and said there's no that will find that one. Now, you won't find Lion and the Lamb and then all these other ones, but you will find judge not lest ye be judged. I think it's Matthew 7:1 in that Tyndale Bible, which is very interesting to know. Now, we know that all the people that ran with that new judge not lest ye be judged. Well, almost no. When I bring up the Tyndale Bible, almost nobody even knows what that is because it predates the KJV. Yeah. William Tyndale.
Tyndale, and the Tyndale Bible also said the flat earth, so it literally says flat earth in it as well.
Yeah. Definitely some interesting things going on with that Bible, and it's interesting how most people haven't heard of it, for sure. And also, by the way, when I talk about changes like, 2 or more, change it to 2 or 3, and these other universal changes, that does go all the way back to the Greek and everything. And we've checked all of that. It changed all the way back. But yeah, look at this. All these kids, guys, are all posing fist to the forehead in front of a statue with the fist under the chin. So, yeah, major Mandela effects. And there's a lot more. I know there's going to be people in chat. And why didn't you talk about this painting? Why didn't you talk about that statue? It's like we could be here absolutely all day than that. I think what we should do, we should talk about airplanes. I think we should definitely talk about airplanes next. Can I fill my water real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. No stress, mate. I'm going to just
2 minutes.
say hi. I just want to say hi again to everybody in the chat because I didn't say hi. You guys rock. It's good to see you. I'm hitting the most views live ever on this channel, 110 views live. So that's awesome. Good to see. Thank you all for coming. If you haven't already, just hit that like and share because this is really, really awesome. And I'm enjoying it. Thank you, Brian, for coming on. So remember, guys, we're going to be having a questionnaire time. So if you guys want to get your questions ready, then when Brian's ready, I think still going to be maybe another hour or so before, and then we're going to take some questions. So please do get your questions ready. I hope you guys are enjoying this because I hope so, because it seems to be enjoying it just like I am. You guys are awesome. So I just want to say many people. And then I want to give a shout out to, I'm trying to get on my phone, to ZP Investigations. Thank you very much for your $5 PayPal. Really, really appreciate it. You are awesome. Appreciate all the support on the channel. Thank you very, very much. Hey, Boston Ray. And it's good to see all the new people in here, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Man. Let me, you know what's cool? Hold on. What's interesting is, so I heard first time I heard anybody mention your name was a couple months ago or something. And I heard somebody say something about how you own somebody in some debate or something. I'm like, who the fuck is Flatzoid? Like, I never even heard of that name. It's such a weird name too, right? And then I found you a couple weeks ago, and then I know I told you this, I think, but I saw the show you did with Fight the Flat Earth, the debate, and then he tried to bring in that. I can't stand Dave McKeegan, man. That guy just makes me.
I was so happy. Because the guy runs away from me constantly on his own videos and stuff. I've actually done streams about him, but he's scared of me or something. So I was so happy that he came in, and then I used his own profession against him. That shows you.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. The way that they were trying to go back and forth with you about optics was it was interesting. But I like the way that you handled them, and like you don't get super aggressive, but you don't give them anything. You don't let them just get away with spewing that shit out that they can't apply anything to. And then you just kind of laugh. You just kind of laugh at them every once in a while. I fucking love it, dude. So what's funny is I was telling people like I put your name in my show notes after I watched that. So the next day I was gonna tell people that like, hey, check out this guy's channel, and then like before I could even do that, you were live doing that Mandela effect stream, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. All right, this is actually somebody that's an open thinker that. Because I'll tell you, and no offense to anybody, just my observation. I find out that some of the hardest-headed people to get through to this are people that are in the debate circles, and I know you debate a lot, so it was very surprising to see somebody that's in debates a lot. And the reason I think that is, so this is a supernatural realm. There's much more than the physical, much more. And I thought everybody understood that, but apparently a lot of people don't. But the thing is, like, when you battle in the globies for so long and for years, guys have been doing it, and you're constantly arguing over the physical attributes of this place, and you think you can measure and equate everything in one way or the other to kind of locking into another paradigm, even though that paradigm carries a lot of truth and the globe doesn't. Do you know what I'm saying? So I could see how it would be really hard for people. And it's still frustrating for me still that they don't see, but I could see why it would be really hard. So when I was impressed by your debating, and then I saw you doing a Mandela effect stream, I was like, oh, all right, cool, man. That's cool. That's why I was like, yeah, I'll come on, man. Definitely.
Awesome. No, but I really appreciate it. It's not the first time I've debated FTFE. I mean, they like to come and debate and then get their ass handed to them. I think they like being they're masochists or something. But I enjoy it for the sport. That's why I laugh at them a lot, because I literally talk them into a corner that they have to concede and contradict themselves. That's kind of how I play the debates.
How long you been around? How long you been doing Flat Earth, and how long you been doing content?
About five years now, but on YouTube, 3 years, just over 3 years.
Wow, man. I had no idea who you were into.
I was first on Facebook, and then I went over from there to YouTube.
Oh,
but
cool.
Yeah. Just want to say thank you, Alan Norstrand, for the $10 super chat. Thank you very, very much. Great show, Flatwood and Brian Staveley. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, guys. So let's get back into a couple really significant changes, and then I'm gonna rail off a bunch, and then maybe we can get into some bigger thoughts about this or whatever, and we'll eventually get to questions for sure. Definitely want to answer questions. There's just so much, just so much to get into. All right, let me go into a screen share. So right now I'm going to talk about the changes to the aeronautical industry, which, change I'm going to talk about in particular, honestly, and that is commercial airliners. So,
okay,
I want everybody here to picture a commercial airliner, like a jet you would take at an airport to go visit your friend across the country. Okay. And I think you're all going to have pretty much the same image in your head. Okay. Now, I am going to go into my folder right here. Oh, can you give me the screen?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. There we go.
It's okay. So the way I remember, now what I'm going to show you right here is residue from a video game. It's not real photography. I know that. And again, I wouldn't be able to show you real photography of the way something was, because the photography and the videos change with the reality. Okay. Official items will change. Residue is everywhere in every form you can imagine, other than the official copies of things, the official versions of things that have changed. But the video and the photograph, which would be, that's gone. But this is what I remember. If I'm thinking you probably do. Is this what you remember? A commercial airliner looking like? This is a game called Just Cause. Now, when I say commercial airline, I should have asked you a more specific question. I kind of fucked up, but it's fine. I can fix that. I should have said, where do you engines on a commercial airliner? Do you remember the engines underneath the wing? This is how I remember commercial airliners. Engines under the wing. Does this look about right of what a commercial jet look like? All right, more images. Right? This is what I remember. Okay, video game again, guys, not real. Okay, engines under the wing. Now, in this reality, other than one exception, there's one 737 exception that I've seen. All commercial airliners going back into the past now. I'm talking you. If you have a photograph of you in front, you don't just need to go to the airport now, because then you could say, well, maybe they changed all the jets. It's new technology, right? All the airlines updated all at once, right? If you wanted to believe that, doesn't matter. They look like this now, going all the way back. The engines are in front of the wings on all commercial airliners. Next time you're at an airport, have a look at that. Look how structurally unsound that looks. That's how they've always looked in this reality. They look like they shot out of the sky. It would burn the wing. It would tip over forward. Maybe this is how they go around the curve. They just move the engines over, right? Now it noses down.
That's to create more low pressure. Oh man, that's weird.
Isn't that crazy?
Won't that mess with the aerodynamics though?
You would think so. This is how they look now. Look at this.
Yeah, it's so forward.
Now again, I know technology changes, guys. Again, I'm saying if you have photographs of yourself in front of one of the planes in the last 30, 40 years of your life, take a look at that photograph. If you could see where the engines would be, they're going to be like this.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on Google now as well. They're in front.
Yeah. Somebody says looks photoshopped. Yeah, because it's so ridiculous. But you really just need to look. You go yourself. Go to any airport. Challenge what I say. You all have airports.
Let's look at the Airbus. Airbus, the same thing. It's in front. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like hitting me out of no ways. I cannot believe. And
Isn't that crazy?
I've been doing a lot of things on airplanes and stuff, even the aerodynamics, and I've never realized the wings.
This changed in like 2019 for most people. And this is a double Mandela effect. This used to be Alaskan Airlines. Now it's Alaska. Always been Alaska Airlines. It used to be Alaskan Airlines, dude, 100%. And these engines were underneath the wings. Now they've always been like this in this reality. They're barely hanging on by a bracket, dude. There's a little bracket holding them on.
I think I remember seeing a documentary when they're talking about the Alaskan Airlines. It was an old prop plane from Alaskan airplane.
Yeah, it's Alaska now. So this is not my reality that I come from or whatever, the way it used to be. Okay. I remember a reality where the engines on planes look like this, like they do in this video game. And that's why this remains. This is a human interpretation, a drawing, artwork. That's what these video, you use computers to make the video game, whatever. But this isn't a photograph. This remains. If people that drew airplanes, they remain.
Wow.
Right? It's big stuff.
Ooh.
Big stuff.
But it's all. You've got a big passion into the subject, so obviously you've looked a lot more than I have.
Yeah, this is just so important, and I'm just trying to bring up a list I have here of facts that I wrote down. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, dude. I mean, I've been doing this hard since the whole time. I've been doing this and Flat Earth the whole time these awakenings have been going on. And I've been trying to build bridges, and I've built a lot of bridges. And I'm not going to stop. People need to wake up to this. Stop telling people it's a supernatural realm. It's time to recognize it. It's here. It's happening now. Reality's shifting. What we were told of, you shouldn't even surprise you that our understanding of matter, we were completely deceived. Our concept of time, we were completely deceived. Like, it's all coming to fruition right now. The land masses of the earth are in the wrong place. I forgot to tell you about the subject matter expert on that. So one night I'm on an interview. These three guys are interviewing me about the Mandela effect. And right when I'm about to go to Google Earth, before I start to say, here come the geography changes, right? I mentioned something about Panama, right? Without saying anything about the canal specifically. And this guy's like, oh, I was stationed in the Panama Canal for 8 years for the Marines or the Navy, whatever he said. I think he said the Navy. I was stationed there for 8 years. Then he starts explaining the way all the locks and stuff work in the canal, right? And I thought he was going to bring this into a flat earth conversation real quick. And then I just said to him, you were stationed there for 8 years? Yeah, I worked in the canal. I said, what direction does the water run? He said, east and west. Then I pulled up Google Earth and showed him that it's like this now. Blew his mind live on air, just like when I have people open their Bibles live on the air. Never fails.
Yeah, because a lot of time, especially if they haven't looked at it, and they're like, no, it's got to be like this. And they open it, and I see, whoa. And then you can see the blank in their face. It's like, what the hell? Just like what just happened to me with the airplane.
Isn't that wild? That's a huge change. So again, this isn't just little stuff, guys. You're only being presented the little stuff, and you're not digging. They're not going to tell you about the jet engines. They're not going to tell you about the Bible changes. They're not going to tell you about the Panama Canal. They're not going to say anything about the Bible changes. And they sure as hell ain't going to mention that people think it's supernatural or from the creator, or even if you think it's from Satan. They don't mention none of that. They want you to think it's them and their technology if you do realize it's them. And people run around toting these ideas that the high priests of science are promoting. Brian Cox and Elon Musk and Neil deGrasse, these guys are telling you live in a simulation. These guys are telling you CERN is doing this. Do you believe these guys about what reality is now? No, absolutely not. So let's bring it back to some things that are more common for people. We'll bring it back a little, and then we'll get deep again. What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah, sure. I just want to quickly share my screen quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm talking a lot, man. If you have any questions, just slow me down. Like I can just go,
Yeah, Michael's just sent me. Can you see that? Should be showing
now. Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah, that's at the air shuttle block. It's also in front. Even the air shuttle is in front. I didn't remember that being in front.
That's wild.
It's crazy. Thank you for the photo.
Totally.
Michael. Oh, wow.
Doesn't even look structurally sound. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. No. So one of the biggest Mandela effects, like if you were to ask 100 people the question of what their biggest Mandela effect is, and I think I've done this easily. I have call-in shows and I ask everybody. I've probably asked way more than that. The one answer that's more common than anyone is Ed McMahon. So let's explain Ed McMahon real quick for people. And I'm going to explain the significance of the residue that goes along with it and the memories that people have and the way that people try and brush it off. We're going to break all this psychology down to it, okay? Because I've seen this play out in our communities so many times when people try to dismiss the Mandela effect, especially the Ed McMahon one. It's hilarious. So where I come from, so let me ask you guys, and I know not everybody is from the United States. If you're not from the United States, there's very little chance you'll know this. But for the people that do know, what company do you always remember Ed McMahon working for as far as a sweepstakes company? Type that company in the chat. So Ed McMahon, for people that don't know who he is, very famous American, I guess you would call him an actor. He was more of a host of shows. He was Johnny Carson's sidekick on The Tonight Show for 30 years. That's the most popular role. He also did Star Search, and he did this contest, sweepstakes contest, where things would get I don't want to put too many details so people answer, but it was a sweepstakes contest. We'll see what people say. Now,
I remember you talking about this on one of your shows, so I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, by the way, we talked about synchronicities and King Tut, follow me, and Ed McMahon is a native of my hometown. And not only is that, there's other famous people from my hometown whose names have changed from the Mandela effect. We'll touch on that. And my actual neighborhood has changed. The name of the neighborhood that I was living in before I moved to South Carolina has changed. And it's been 4 years since it changed. And people still think they live in a place that has never existed. And I got so much significance to back that up. But let's talk about Ed McMahon, hometown hero, Lowell, Massachusetts, right? Johnny Carson's sidekick. So Ed McMahon, in my reality, used to work for a company called Publishers Clearinghouse. They used to send you envelopes to your house. There were two things on the envelope, an outline of his face and an outline of a house, which was the PCH logo. And people would send stamps back or whatever, and magazine subscriptions and all these things. They thought they were going to win millions of dollars. Now, I'm going to tell you this in two people. In this reality, Ed McMahon never worked for Publishers Clearinghouse. He worked for a rival company, which nobody has heard. Saying the company didn't exist, though. But that's American Family Publishers. Now, here's the thing. This is where the people that have a hard time with the Mandela effect, they're so sure they know Ed McMahon did the Publishers Clearinghouse. But then you tell them it's this other three-letter company, and they think, well, I just mixed the companies up. right? And I could understand why somebody might think that before they think their reality is changing. But it's not just one thing. We've gone through so many changes. But listen, if I asked you what image do you have of Ed McMahon and his affiliation for said company, think about that for a minute. Because nearly everybody is going to tell you, well, I remember him going to people's doors with a gigantic check and balloons. The thing is, Ed McMahon's never done that for either company. He's never gone to the winner's doors with a giant check. Yet, I dare say 100 million Americans probably remember him going to people's doors with a giant check. It's parodied everywhere on every freaking show you can imagine, even by Ed himself showing up on the Roseanne show with a giant check, right? Like, it's ridiculous, dude. And then on top of it, people say, well, I want to hear these Mandela effects right out of these. I gave you examples about the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Ed McMahon in 2009 did a rap commercial for, I know that sounds ridiculous because he's like 90 years old, but he did a rap song for freecreditreport.com where he's driving around in a white van, which is exactly what Publishers Clearinghouse had. And he's literally doing a rap song about how he's going to go back to these people's doors and collect back the giant check he gave them. And they show him literally go there, ring the bell and say, I need my giant check back. And he's never done that in reality now. And he's dead now. So people ask, what does he say about it? He's been dead shortly after that.
Well, I can see a few people in the chat saying things like, oh, no, how can you believe this? Or so he's just confused. Oh, man.
100%, dude. 100%. So this changes with 9/11. I'd like to talk about one.
Yeah,
that's a big one. Another big event, right? There's actually a few. One of them I actually found myself. So people ask, how many Mandela effects do you find and all this? I myself, how many did I discover that are legit? Probably less than a dozen. Not out there hunting, because there are channels that do that. There are channels that put out bullshit. That's with every topic, though, guys. Think about it. People in your circles that. Though people that you know that you don't like their content because they put stuff out there that's loosey-goosey, not a good proof or whatever. I can only speak for me and the general people in my circle. You're not gonna find that I put something out that is not a legit effect. You might say I disagree with you, and you might disagree that it's a Mandela effect because you have a different memory, but you're not gonna say, hey, he lied and called this a Mandela effect, and here's the documented proof of what he's saying, or this is just a revision of something. It's not going to happen. We don't do that. So another huge one, which has really got some significant residue and people involved, and I do feel that the media mocks us a lot after these changes happen, big time. And they do that with Mr. Rogers big time. So anybody that lived in America, would certainly know. I don't know how big Mr. Rogers was around the world. Did you have Mr. Rogers over there? Mr. Rogers neighborhood?
Yeah, Mr. Rogers. Yeah, I heard about him.
Do you ever have the show over there, or was it not big?
No, it wasn't big.
No, I wouldn't think so. But anyways, he used to come through the door. Now think about his theme song, guys. It's a beautiful, and you guys the blank and just finish the first line. So he used to come every day. He would come through his door and he'd be singing, and he would be like, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Now he's never said a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Now he's always said it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Like, not fuck your neighborhood. It's just a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Now, you can go back to the entire archive of shows, any copy that you would have recorded or anything. Dude, you all know that anybody that's seen that show, you all know it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And here's another thing for people that say mismemory and you got a lyric wrong, right? Again, I could walk up to 100 people and I'll tell you 100 people, if they know the answer one way or another on this one, they're going to tell me it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. But think about this. This isn't a movie line. This is a song that we would come home from school. We would watch 5 days a week, probably for a decade, and every day sing along to that song. I used to sing the song as an adult if I was in a good mood at work. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Somebody sent me a clip today. Your buddy Michael sent me a clip today. Channel with over 1 million subscribers. He's out there fishing. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Beautiful day for a neighbor. That was the song. Now it's always said this neighborhood. Now listen to this. So Tom Hanks, I can't stand for many reasons. Tom Hanks is involved with more Mandela effects than anybody by far. He's got so many Mandela effects in his movie, it's ridiculous. And then he gets announced to play Mr. Rogers, right? When they announced the movie, Mr. Rogers, with Tom Hanks playing Mr. Rogers, they gave it a tentative title and said they weren't giving it the real title yet. Meanwhile, the whole Mandela effect community knows we're just going to get trolled in this movie, and we wonder what's going to happen when he comes through the door in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Dude, they one day CNN comes up with this article, and it says, Mr. Rogers, Sony Pictures titles the Mr. Rogers movie, It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. After the original theme song, they put a clip from the show, and he comes through the door and says, this neighborhood. Oh. They titled the movie Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, just like Disney titled that 2012 movie Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. Because that's what it was. That's a huge one.
It's like they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. So I'll rail through some real quick, some real light ones. And I Love Lucy. Ricky Ricardo never said ever once, Lucy, you got some explaining to do. Now that allegedly just came, remind me to get to the 9/11 stuff.
Yeah.
Here's one for you. So actually, go to that one. Yeah. Let's just get to the 9/11 stuff right now.
Yeah, because I remember
what people know
planning to do. I remember that.
What's that?
I also remember that Lucy got explaining to do. I remember that as well.
Oh, it was said over and over. So if you live in America and I was to ask you the most famous brand of stovetop stuffing, what would you guys say? And I'm trying not to do too many things that are American because I know we got a very mixed crowd. But most people would tell you Stouffer's stovetop stuffing. Well, Stouffer's stovetop stuffing has never existed in this reality. It's always been Kraft. Oh, Brian, companies can sell products. Okay, show me when Stouffer sold it to Kraft because they never did. And one that's huge, right, is if I was to ask everybody the most famous brand of avocados, most people would tell you Haas avocados. It was HAAS. That's been Mandela affected to Haas, HASS. But look at this. I happen to have. Look at this residue. I have some unchanged original residue. This bag of frozen Haas avocados that for whatever reason, it's still HAAS. This shouldn't even exist.
And you said
that's how
now
it's
HAAS.
Yeah, and not only that, this is another German change. The guy's name was Rudolf Haas. Now it's Rudolf Haas, and Haas in German means hate. Wow. Here's another one. All the people out there that do research. Most famous museum in America. You know what it is? It begins with an S. 2 words. Oh, Smithsonian. You know the second word? Well, it was the Smithsonian Institute. Now the Smithsonian Institute has always been the Smithsonian Institution. Anybody else, if you know what the DEA stands for, well, that's a huge one for me because the DEA used to stand for the Drug Enforcement Agency. Now it's always been the Drug Enforcement Administration. I don't know, Eduardo. I kind of do mean brand of avocado. You could call it variety, but there's brands. There's Del Monte, there's Haas, they're different companies. I don't know. Maybe that's not the best terminology. Chick-fil-A is a huge one in America, CHIC, and now it's always been CHICK.
Yeah.
But let's talk about 9/11. Let's get into some other stuff that's a little bigger. Because I know these are pretty localized changes. So we'll talk about 9/11. Everybody's seen that.
Before we do,
so 9/11.
I just want to say quickly, Baynan says, can the Mandela effect please change the numbers in my bank account? Yeah. No, 9/11. Yeah. This is going to be a big one, guys.
Yeah. So 9/11, I spent a lot of time on it, as a lot of people did. And one of the stories I always heard over and over, and you might have heard it. And again, if you ever seen my 9/11 stuff, it goes way deeper than anything you probably ever seen as far as the fakery. Way past no planes and all of it. We're not going to go there right now, though. But I'm just going to tell you what the official story I remember hearing, and maybe you resonate. What do you remember about the Pentagon as far as the death toll? Describe to me what you remember being told about 9/11, the Pentagon, the airplane.
Yeah. I think it was 11.
Okay, so what I remember about the Pentagon, I'll lay out to people what I remember, and maybe they'll resonate, and I think a lot of them will. I'll just lay it out. There's no real easy way to get people to fill in the blanks on this. So what I remember about 9/11, and again, I don't believe any of this story. What I remember, though, was they told you that the plane hit the side of the Pentagon. The people in the plane died, which would be like 50 or 60 people because the planes weren't full. So the people in the plane died, but it actually hit a part of the Pentagon that was just specifically redesigned and reinforced for that type of attack, so nobody died inside the building. That's what I remember. Now there's 125 people inside the Pentagon, which is a change for me. And then there's a couple other ones in 9/11 as well, like Tower 7. Have you ever looked into Tower 7 and all that crap? I know a lot of people in the chat must have. So Tower 7 actually had a name. Okay. Now, when I used to do shows back in the day, my friend was more into like the occult connection and these types of things. I was more into the media fakery. We had a good chemistry together. But Tower 7 had a name. It was owned by a group of brothers. If you guys remember the name of the group of brothers, it begins with the letter S. Put it in the chat. Because one day in 2019, I went to do a 9/11 video on right before the 9/11 anniversary. I was looking for a thumbnail for Tower 7. And so I wanted to put a specific search in there just to bring me up that Tower 7 from 9/11. So I typed in what I always knew it to be, and that was the Solomon Brothers building. To always make the correlation to the two towers, King Solomon's temple. Everybody knew it was the Solomon Brothers building. Now it's the Salomon Brothers building. S-A, not S-O, guys. You guys that are all typing Solomon with an S-O, you guys are all wrong. You're all Mandela affected. It's Salomon now. And then another one from 9/11 is George Bush was in that classroom in Florida when his Secret Service guys supposedly told him that a plane hit the towers, and he's reading the book to the kids. Do you guys remember the name of the book that he was reading to the children? Because that's changed as well. So the name of the book, from what I remember, and I can just say it now, they're on like a 20-second delay. They can type fast enough. The name of the book was My Pet Goat. Now the name of the book in this reality has always been The Pet Goat. And no, I'm not mixing it up with the animated thing that was going around. That's I Pet Goat 2.
Yeah,
so
that was
My Pet,
evil.
that thing was crazy looking, right?
My Pet.
Yeah,
So it actually did say My Pet. No, I Pet, and now it's My Pet.
It was My Pet. It was My Pet. Now it's The Pet. I Pet is the video, the animated. Yeah, that's the animated video. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Other ones that are many changes to. And again, this isn't media. They're talking about automobiles. Nearly every automobile manufacturer, their emblem or their name has been Mandela affected. When you drive auto mall, if you're a Mandela effect aware person, and you see all these places, I mean, the logos are all muffed up. Take a look. Volkswagen logo is the big one for me. Maybe I can get a screen share. Let me get my images. Hang on. And so before I show this, I am going to tell people that, my first car when I was 17 was a 1997 Acura Integra. And then my second car when I was 19, I bought brand new off the lot. That car was a Volkswagen Jetta GT. And remember, Volkswagen is another German thing because there's all these German connections. So I'm going to go into my folder. Where is Volkswagen? Right here. Perfect. So this is the Volkswagen logo I remember. Like this. Okay? The V and the W merged. Okay?
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring up another folder from just the other night. I got some good residue in there that I really want to show. I think it's this one.
Oh, wow. Thank you for Jax for becoming a member. Really, really appreciate it. You rock. Thank you.
You see this TV stand?
Oh, yeah.
Volkswagen. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
This is the logo I remember.
The one you remember.
That's what I remember. That's what was on my car. V and the W merged. Okay. But now the Volkswagen logo looks like, let me just try and find a side by side that I have in here. The Volkswagen logo now in this reality is the one on the left.
Yeah, it's cut. I remember that. Yeah.
It has a cut through it. Now, again, I know they can change logos, but do you remember this? Do you have a Volkswagen in your driveway and you know that this is the emblem on it? You better go check again, Jack. It's going to have a break in it. And you're not going to convince me that I didn't know what the emblem on my brand new car when I was 19 looked like. Man, I drove it off the lot, watch it all the time, you know?
It's actually true. I mean, I had a Polo Player at a stage as well. And I think I remember seeing that cut there. And I remember these, not any cut as well, at all.
Yep. And also, there's two changes here because when I used to try and order car parts, now we're talking 97, right? The internet kind of really just started. I'm not on the internet. I'm using car catalogs. You used to actually look in catalogs. And when you did, you would have to know if you were looking for American parts or Volkswagen. This was the German spelling. If I saw this, I knew it was German. Okay. Volkswagen with an EN. And the American had an ON. I know this. This is an anchor memory of mine, not a mismemory. Now in this reality, there's never been a Volkswagen with an ON. It's only been this spelling worldwide. And again, it's depicted everywhere. Cartoons like The Simpsons, Family Guy, American Dad, they're full of Mandela effect residue. Look at V and the W merged. You see what I'm saying? It's everywhere, dude. That's a big one for me. The Kia logo is another one. The Kia logo used to be K. It used to be, I'm going to come off the screen share for a minute. It used to be a K, an I, and an A. Now in this reality, it's never been an A. It's always been a lambda, which is a Greek letter, which looks like an upside down V. But not only that, that lambda started popping into this reality and other brands and fonts going all the way back retroactively. So it's like, why are we being shoved a lambda in my face? Now, do you remember when I told you about Matthew 18:20 changing prior to Rona? Yeah. The first variant of the Rona was called the lambda. It's like we were getting a warning from the Mandela effect of they were going to limit gatherings, they were going to push a fake variant on you. And I'm trying to, fly down that road right now on your channel. But, dude, people need to pay attention to this. This is the biggest thing that's ever happened. If you want, we can get to some questions and then stop and get to some theories after that. Or I don't know. Do you have any questions? What do you want to do?
I'm just enjoying it. But I did tell the guys when you went to get water, they must get their questions ready. If they have
Let's get some questions. Let's do questions for a little bit, but then as long as you give me enough time to get into theories and the big picture and all that. But yeah, questions sound good right about now.
Do you want people to come on and actually ask, or should they just?
No, just ask from the chat.
Yeah. Okay, guys, if you got any questions for Brian, please do just say ask Flatzoid, and then we can ask him the questions that he can answer. I'm sure he's going to answer to the best of his ability. He just, Lumpy Guest says, Brian, thanks for being careful on words used very, very much. Yeah, I also agree. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man, I know how it goes, and I really want this video to stay up and this message to go out. And I appreciate anybody that hasn't resonated with this topic before, just for being here and listening. And if you haven't resonated with it before, I hope I at least have so far brought a lot where you were like, okay, there might be a lot more to this than I thought. And while we're waiting for some questions, I do have, if you're looking for more information, my channel, there's a playlist that I call Mandela Shortlist, and I have 120 something videos on there. So if you want to know what I feel are rock solid Mandela effects, you go to that list and I break them down. I show all the residue. I do videos on the street. Every time I'm in an Uber or a Lyft, I quiz these people on video, and every time they have the exact same memories as us. So you keep watching the chat. I'll keep talking. So this is why I'm like, everybody's affected by this. I know this. I see it all the time, and for a long time, I was pointing out all the different truths just to give them a little nudge to try and show them, hey, you're going through this. Like, we're not a bunch of crazy people. You got the fucking same memory as us, dude. You know what I mean? But now my vibes kind of change. I'm really just going to focus on the people that want to resonate with it and want to keep this journey going forward. And I'll keep coming and doing shows like this and try and bring more people up. But it gets it does get discouraging, and it's almost low energy for me to be around people that are going to continually deny this. And, it's really hard for me. So I just decided to separate myself from that. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah. I've stuck your playlists link in the chat there for everybody if they want to go and see what's going on there. Okay, so I've stuck his playlist link in the chat, and you guys can go look through all his playlists. Definitely going to be well with it, and do know it's going to take you a lot of time to go through everything because there's a lot of information. Ashley Cludo, do you know Mr. Rogers said in the Dartmouth speech, I believe from 2002?
Oh, he said "the" instead of this. Like he said it the old way in his Dartmouth
I'm gonna
speech.
put on screen.
Cool. I might have had that brought to me, but honestly, it's not totally ringing a bell. So that might be new to me. That piece of residue. That's pretty significant. You know, he's quoting himself the wrong way from the song that he sung thousands of times in this reality. You know,
yeah,
it's absolutely wild. Name changes. People's names have changed. Like, you know how many videos I've done showing people talking about Joel Osteen? Joel Osteen has never existed. His name is Joel Osteen now. He doesn't have an L in his last name anymore.
And I still sometimes when I say Joel, I say Joel Osteen. I've always said it, and I still do. Somehow catch myself saying that. You're correct.
Yeah. Yep. Other questions? What do we got? I saw somebody wrote something else. Do you think digging deep enough into flat will show the multiple dimensions that cause the ME? I don't really know what you mean by that. What, like, I certainly all this is connected, but not everybody makes that connection. Now, I don't really believe it's multiple dimensions, but I just want to say this, like, we're going to talk theory soon, and I'm very passionate about my theories and whatnot, but they're just theories, and I welcome all theories, and there might be things I'm not seeing that I formulate my theories, but there are a lot of theories on the Mandela effect that in my mind, they don't make any sense at all. So maybe after a quick bathroom break, we can make we can get into that. Do I know about the JFK assassination photo that shouldn't exist? Which photo are you talking about? Because there are some photos that do look like 4 people in the car, but there are people ducking down in it. I haven't seen any from the official scene that is a real photograph that shows 4 people in the car. Oh, we didn't even really touch on JFK. I always, for anybody that remembers, I mean, how many people do you remember in JFK's car when he was shot? We already blew it. But, you know, what I always remember is there was 4 people in the car. It's depicted everywhere, parodies everywhere, music videos made after it. Now there's always been 6 people in the JFK car when he was assassinated. And there's 3 freaking rows of seats, dude. And the middle row has like this divider. The whole car is completely different than what I remember it. So I did wish I could have phrased that better and got you guys to answer. But if you people in JFK's car, guess what? Another Mandela effect. Goes on and on.
Jamacho Woman says JFK was in 2 different cars.
No, I know that there was one car from the airport and another car for the parade and the motorcade. I know the difference. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What else do we got?
Definitely not Flataholics. The Formes Atlas from 100 AD shows that people knew the Earth was a globe. And how does it do that exactly? They couldn't even map out the whole globe then.
Yeah. And again, people remember we showed those images earlier. If you remember South America under North America and the Panama Canal east and west, I want you to check your maps, your globes, and you're going to see that they all have it way over to the east and the canal's going like this. You know, any Mandela effect, I say. Like if I say Mr. Rogers has changed, check your recordings or more newer movies, right? Like Field of Dreams, the speaky when the creepy voice when he first speaks to him in the cornfield. I'll ask everybody to fill it in. If you build it, and it's so iconic, and it was if you build it. And if you guys are thinking in your head right now, well, of course they will come. I mean, think about how you remember that. I used to repeat it in the schoolyard.
Can you maybe show that little piece? I mean, I think it was from one of your videos recently.
Yeah, I think I can. So now, yeah, let me see if I can.
No, that's actually, I think it's something people actually have to listen themselves.
Yeah. So yeah. So it's even, check this out. So let's listen to one of these videos that are titled If you build it, they will come. So this is what I remember. If you build it, they will come. That's the title of the video. Now have a listen. If you build it, he will come. He says he now. He used to say they. If you build it, he will come. So I do want to address, further the question by what, because he's asking again, saying especially, he said anyone who is ME'd knows these dimensions exist and we pass through them. I'm not opposed to different dimensions, just though, from my opinion, that is absolutely not what the cause is of the Mandela effect at all. There's no way for me. It's different dimensions or different timelines, and we can totally get into that. Why don't you let me just get the water and use the bathroom, and maybe we'll get into the theories, and I'll say why I don't think it's dimensions or timelines causing the Mandela effect, and you can look for more questions while I do that. We can do all that.
100%.
Yeah?
Sure, mate.
Cool.
Definitely.
I'll be right back.
Okay, guys. Yeah, so just hit that like button. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Do get your questions, because it does help to have the question so you can actually answer it. Again, I want to say thank you to everybody. Let's see what the poll's saying. 162 votes. Do you deduce the evidence for Mandela effect as true? And well, yes, 61% say yes, it's true, and no, 39%. So it's just great to have you all aboard. It's good to see so much people here. You guys are really awesome to see. So thank you all for coming. Yeah, the stream is epic. So I just want to again say thank you for all the new people that's here. It's good to see the channel growing so steadily. And I think it's all got to do with Brian. Thank you. So would you guys want me to have him on again? I think I definitely want to have him on again. I want to actually have Dave from Jesus Free Computer Geek on as well about the same subject. But then we're going to be talking about changes in the Bible and the Mandela effect. So I definitely want to have Brian on again, because he's got a lot of information about this subject, which is really awesome. I see a lot of people like talking about the mud flood as well. We should actually look at that as well sometime, because mud flood, I see, is also quite a big subject that people love to talk about. Go March open panel stream. We'll ask Brian if he wants to just now do an open panel stream for a bit. Almost been going on for about 2 hours now, so that's quite cool. And I think
if you can give me like another 20, 25 minutes to talk some theories with you, we can open the panel after that if you want to do that.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do that maybe. But then,
let's
do theories first. Yeah.
Yeah, let's kill the screen share. And, all right, so I'm going to stop with why I think this is so important. Why does it matter if things are changing? You could say that to any topic. Why is truth important? Truth is important. But this is like a next level type of thing that's happening here. And again, even if you don't agree with a lot of them, or you think some of them can be debunked, dude, that's fine. But if you know one or two of them are real and that this is happening, this needs to be investigated. And in my opinion, we are given messages from the creator. I think most of this is the creator that's doing this. Now, why would the creator do some of this? Well, we talked about some of the messages and warnings that we might be seeing through scripture. We're seeing a lot of things that seem to be not legit, like different entities of this government having their names Mandela affected and these types of things. But ultimately, I think most of it is to slowly wake the human consciousness up to what it needs to be woken up to, what this reality really is, and how all that physical that they're putting out in front of us is the facade. And you better believe the people who created the globe are hell-bent on hiding the creator, creation, supernatural. So they're going to do everything they can to hide this. I think it's the creator waking us up. Now, what I don't think it is I don't think it's technology. I can't rule any of the things I don't like out, but I don't think it's technology. I think it's obvious they would like you to believe that. I know some people disagree with me, but I look at CERN as like the ISS, man. I look at CERN like the underground ISS. I don't take any of this science real.
No,
I know a lot of people think they're opening portals or these types of ideas. I'm more open to that than I am it causing the Mandela effect, but I don't believe it. It's a complete circus. They allegedly had Tom Hanks turn the switch on, and Brian Cox is a lead physicist. I don't buy it, man. Now, I know a lot of people like the simulation idea. I see that as obvious, trying to gatekeep our reality and try and hide the creator and take credit for it with man. I also see Neil deGrasse. Elon Musk is the biggest one pushing simulation. He tells you 99% we live in there. Neil deGrasse tends to agree with them.
But Elon Musk wants to push the neuron link. So obviously he wants simulation to be real. He wants everybody to be into the beast system.
Yeah, of course. So why don't I? Other ideas that I don't think would be tied to like a cover up or a gatekeeper or a conspiracy would be obviously like timelines merging, like time travel. We came from one Earth to another, but I'm going to tell you why I don't like those ideas. For me, from what I see and I can only say what I perceive these things to be. Like I can't tell you certainly how timelines function or time travel, just my ideas, right? But we have all this residue here. All the evidence of these changes is here, right? So like if we came from somewhere else and that's why we're experiencing the Mandela effect, first off, we would see all the same changes with no variation because we came from one place to another. Secondly, everybody wouldn't have the same memories as us. They all have the same memories as us. And we see incremental changes here. So I think we're in one reality that is either in flux or our perception of it is in flux. So that's why I don't agree. And it could be a combination of these things. But for me, I don't agree with we came from a different timeline. I don't agree with it's time travel because why would we have the residue? Why would everybody have the same memories? But I can't tell you how these things work. So I could be totally wrong. But those are why I don't really like those ideas. Or we came from one Earth to another Earth where everything's different. Well, we watched the land masses incrementally change. We didn't all of a sudden see South America move to where it is. South America moved a couple times within the time from like 2016 to now. So we're seeing incremental changes to everything. The Bible, especially, incremental changes. Some of these movies have incremental changes in them, like The Wizard of Oz and some of these other ones, that they keep changing as we're watching them. We've seen things flip-flop, like the Apollo 13 movie with Tom Hanks. It used to say, Houston, we have a problem. Then it changed to Houston, we've had a problem. Then the Mandela Effect community made videos on it. And then it changed back and all their videos disappeared. Flip-flop.
Yeah.
But I have proof. I have proof of the flip-flop. Because when Houston, we have a problem, changed to Houston, we've had a problem. They decided to come out with articles to cover up that it changed. So the articles they would come out with would be top movie misquotes. Some of these huge sites. One of them put the biggest movie misquote of all time is Houston, we have a problem. The movie actually has always said, Houston, we've had a problem, right? To try and cover up that it changed. Yeah. But then it changed back, and 3 of those articles still exist, and I have them. I showed them in the video. They're calling what the quote is right now and has always been in this reality because it changed and changed back. So it's always been Houston, we have a problem. They're calling it a misquote and telling you it's always been Houston, we've had a problem. But if you pop it in, it says Houston, we have a problem. So it's like the reality tries to scrub the evidence of the flip-flop, but it's not complete for whatever reason. I think that this is the creator doing it, but I see a lot of things at play. We see people take what we call the update, right? So I could approach people. There's 2 things going on here. There's obviously the cognitive dissonance, and people want to dismiss this, and they can't handle it, right? So there's instances where I could be talking about, say, mirror, mirror, right? And then I tell them, no, it's always been magic mirror. But they already told me, real quick, it's mirror, mirror. And I said, no, it's always been magic mirror. Look, then they'll be like, oh, I guess I must have just been misremembering. Right? That's the most common thing that people do. But then there's other times when people seem to just take information out of nowhere or get real combative. And I experienced this a couple weeks ago. The story's too long to get into. But I do think that in general, this reality, we're always observing. And so first off, whatever's causing the Mandela effect is not random. It definitely has intelligence behind it. That's another thing. There's synchronicities and Mandela effects that we have and personal changes in our life. It has to be at least a portion of it coming from the creator. Now, what I think is, for whatever reason, the creator is contacting us in this way and in this manner, rather than just being like, hey, they're lying to you about everything, right? we got to kind of learn all of this on our own, right? But I do think that what happens is we all vibe at like this same frequency. But these people that are walking around with their face covered, these globe trolls and all those type of people that just believe the narrative of everything, right? I look at it as like a disinformation network. There's like a disinformation network frequency that runs through this realm as well. We block it out. Not all the time. We block it out. They just soak that right up. Now, at the same time, I think that the other side of the equation is trying to hold on to this physical reality. Call it the devil if you want, right? Satan, whatever. The bad guy, the opposite force. It wants to hold on to people's minds and consciousness and make them think the physical is all that there is. There is no God. There is no changes to this reality. And I think that people are constantly observed, and these type of people at times have like almost like a possession. They almost get possessed right when you're about to snap them out. It happened to me at the piano bar the other night. I tried to get the piano players. They dueling pianos. There's two guys on the stage, and they play all sorts of popular songs. So we were about to go next door and do Truth or Songs at karaoke. That was our plan, but we were waiting for it to fill up a little bit. So I'm like, I'm going to ask these guys songs and try and get them to play it, right? So I tried to get them to play Mr. Rogers, and this guy had like a freaking complete meltdown, dude. It was crazy. They kept passing it back and forth. We saw him pass it to the other guy, and the other guy has his laptop, and we could see, you could hear him saying on my video, I'm like, he's over there looking at the lyrics, all fucking confused. He's like really confused. And then they kept saying how they were going to play it, and they didn't play it. They didn't play it. They kept passing it back and forth. Now this just gets crazy. So then I'm like, he's not going to play my Mr. Rogers. Okay, I wrote down Jewel, Who Will Save Your Soul, which I just told you says Who Will Save Your Souls now. And as I like handed it to him, he got like irate at me. Like it wasn't him in there. It was like this thing possessed him and was holding on, letting this guy wake up. And then after, he ended up doing the Jewel song, and he got really weird at the end, and he's looking at me. The guy at the piano bar performing for everybody is looking at me. He's belting out Who Will Save Your Soul the old way and the new way when he looks at the screen. Then he looks at me. He takes my Mr. Rogers request, throws it in the trash, and he waves his hand like this, and he goes, if you think you're going to get salvation here, you came to the wrong chapel. This is what the guy says to me for trying to get him to play Mr. Rogers. And then on top of it, we leave. Me and a couple of the guys leave and go next door. One of the guys runs over. These guys got off stage, right? He runs over. He's like, they're playing it. I went over. It took them getting off stage. Two other guys came up. The other guy played Mr. Rogers, and he played it the way that we remember and sang It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Wow.
It's crazy, dude. We see people act really, really strange, especially Bible changes to them. They just go into the defend the word mode. It's the word of God. It can't change. And it's like, listen, people, and I'm not trying to offend anybody here, but that's a book and a paper. It can be inspired, you think, and whether you think, even if you think God himself sat down with a fountain pen and ink and wrote the Bible, and even the copy that you have, I'm all about the reality of the situation. Did it change or not? I don't care what your paradigm tells you. I don't care. Take it off the shelf and look. You know what I mean? Take it off in the King James Bible now, Moses is carrying tables instead of tablets. The word matrix is in there 6 times. The Lord's Prayer, most people would remember trespass and trespasses in the Lord's Prayer. That's not in any Lord's Prayer in any version of the Bible in the world. It's changed to debts and debtors, sins and sinners, some other variations of it. Even in the KJV, many people remember, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, on earth as it is in heaven. Now it says, Our Father, which art, and it says in earth instead of on earth.
Yeah, that's one thing. And it used to be on earth. Yeah, I remember learning it as a child, on earth as it is in heaven. Yeah, now it's in earth. Correct.
So when I first heard that, it was several years ago, and that's kind of when these concave earth people were trying to make a little bit of noise. And I'm like, is this concave earth being pushed into the Bible now? Like, what is in earth? That's what I was thinking,
Yeah. No.
But that went away, thank God, because they were the craziest bunch, man. I had to deal with them a little bit. Lord Stephen Christ made a couple of videos on me. That guy's a fucking maniac.
But the thing is, you still get some concavers, and it makes me think, are they just playing people? Because I'm sorry.
I think they are, dude. They're just really aggressive assholes too.
Mm.
I had a really funny experience with one. So second flat Earth meetup I ever went to, I hung out with this guy Josh, who was a flat earther as far as I knew. Right, his name's Joshua. He was a flat earther, and we went to this ice rink. And this is in like 2017, right? And he just got real obnoxious in the ice rink, and he got us kicked out of there. And the cops were coming and all this shit. Like, I didn't want to do that. He's like throwing business cards at people. Anyways, we go back to his house after that. I have no car, and I'm a few towns away. And he's like, and he knows I'm always about a whole bunch of things. He's like, you always say you'll look at anything. And I'm like, yeah, man. What do you got? Dude, he made me watch concave Earth videos, Lord Stephen Christ, for about 7 hours. I was stuck in his house 7 hours watching Stephen Christ videos, dude. I wanted to kill myself.
I can think, no. For 7 hours, no, that's crazy. That's
man. I let one of them call in one night. I'm sure you know that Sam Hancock guy. He's like the worst, dude. You must have run into him. Yeah. So he was calling all the women on my Facebook page, all sorts of names and everything. And we're like, you know what, dude? I'm gonna have you call in tonight. And he had a complete meltdown. It's a funny clip. I'll send it to you sometime. I can't even believe I let him call. Yeah, it's funny. But yeah, let's get back to Mandela effect. So how long have you been looking at it, and what's your take on like theories and stuff? And let's bounce it back and forth a little bit, and then we can let some people on.
Oh, well, even before I became flat Earth, I was actually looking at the Mandela effect kind of thing, but I didn't really take it seriously. And I was just but I've never been triggered as the other people, like, oh no, it just can't be real kind of thing, because I've seen, like I've said, things through my life that has changed, and I literally. I mean, I've got like 6 different translation Bibles, and all of them seem to be different than what I imagine, what I remember. So things have changed, and I mean, like the Monopoly guy, I always remember playing Monopoly. The guy had a monocle, and that was like it for me. So as soon as we went through, and I see this, and I've realized through the time, it's just got to do a spiritual battle. I mean, like the Bible says, we fight against not flesh and blood, but principalities and powers, and that's how I see this Mandela effect kind of thing. It's for the minds. That's what it's about.
And I will say, for people new that might be watching, like, there's nothing to fear with this. I know some people come in with it with fear, but man, I mean, I'd consider myself, as close to an expert as you're going to get on it, and I mean, I'm telling you, there's nothing to fear about it. I mean, nothing bad has happened from, some of the changes. It screws up your favorite song. This is all material things that the creator's probably trying to point out. Like, don't idolize these things. There might be a lot of that is what the Mandela effect is. And to take it a little deeper, what I think this reality is I do think whenever we leave here, we're going to need to be more prepared for the supernatural or spiritual aspects of the next realm or the next journey. This is a training ground for it. Some people would say, why are there so many of these other changes? And like, Brian, you showed some cool stuff, King Tut and jet engines and all this big stuff. But why all these brands and cartoon characters? Listen, I know 3 people that woke up because of the change on Pikachu's tail, the stupid thing I never knew what it was until I knew what the Mandela effect was. Okay, I had a family member. I went to 2019, right? I go to Thanksgiving, my mom's house, and she lives 2 hours at the time before I moved down south. And I go over there, not to her house. I go to my cousin's house, who I haven't seen her and her kids in a few years. So the kids grow fast. Now this kid's like 12. I haven't seen him since he was real small. And I go through, and instead of saying Happy Thanksgiving, Brian, or how you doing, the first thing he says when I walk through the door is he's like, I know about Pikachu's tail. And I was like, oh, really? So then my cousin says to his sister, whose house it was, he starts telling her about Ed McMahon. Now, everybody there is from Lowell. I mean, we're all from Ed McMahon's hometown. We know Ed McMahon worked for Publishers Clearinghouse. So they were all kind of mind blown. So then I started talking about geography, right? And I was like, they totally agreed with me on, and there's more that have changed too, by the way. I'm just wanted to just get a little bit of everything. They're like, so you're telling me, like, if we had a globe, like, those changes they're gonna be on there. It's not gonna be how we remember. I said, why, do you have one? She said, Corey, you got your dusty globe down in the basement from like 30 years ago. Pulled the globe out, showed them that it had all changed right there in front of them. Like, so Pikachu helped wake up that whole family to it. Yeah. Nathan, who I do shows with, Nathan Sanders a lot, brilliant guy. He's been, talking about this, trying to, get people to see it, especially his sister, for years. It took the spelling of a medicine that was in her purse. It lost an M, and because the brand name lost one of the two M's that it had, she knows the Mandela effect is real now and is ready to take that journey. So I think it all matters. And on another level too, I do, and this is all theory, right? But let's just say we do reincarnate and come back here, right? I think like let's say me and you were, I don't want to say that. Let's say me and you die when we're 80, right? But we're 60% ready for the next realm. Well, we're going to come back until we get that 60% to 100%. Now, when we come back, maybe there has to be so many of these other little changes too, so we don't have like a deja vu of the old reality. Like if everything's the same everywhere, maybe that'll be enough to make us, remember some of our past life, So maybe the creator changes so many little things rather than rewriting the whole reality for everybody, every single person, every time they just change all these little things around as well, to make the reality just a different enough experience where you're not like in your soul like has a flashback to it or something,
Yeah. I remember this Queen song as well.
It doesn't say it. Yeah.
Yep. Of the world. I remember that.
A lot of music changes, even things that people would think are small. You ask people Pink Floyd's most famous album, they'll probably tell you Dark Side of the Moon. That's now the Dark Side of the Moon. A band that I grew up with, Belle Biv DeVoe. It's a rap group from, the East Coast United States. They sang a song called Poison, really popular. It was Bell, B-E-L. Now it's B-E-L-L, double L. There's a lot of name changes. I don't want to go into too many of them, though. I don't know how well it's going to resonate with the audience right now, but I mean, I'm ready if you want to drop the link and let people join.
Yeah, I'm going to drop it in. While I'm dropping in the link, guys, click the link. You guys can come in. You want to talk about your thoughts on this subject? The link is there in the chat. Please do come in. By the way, it's awesome to have you on, mate. Thank you again for being here. Yeah, I remember the city as well. And I mean, it's been 6 and the city, I think. That's what they changed it to.
Yeah, we've shown so many people actually directly associated with that, including the actresses and stuff. The woman that wrote the movie, and she has a book that's a sequel, Is There Still Sex in the City, it's called. Why would if it's the end of the city,
Yeah, that tells you something.
Huge changes in spelling. The word dilemma used to be D-I-L-E-M-N-A, dilemma. Okay, the N was silent. So many people have an anchor memory of intentionally mispronouncing the word to spell it correctly and saying dilemma.
But I mean, I don't know if you saw my video that with Are You Suggestible? And people were telling me I spelled it wrong. And I'm like, but that's how it's spelled. I remember that I'm looking up, and it's like, no. Then we went to look, and I did it live. I said, no, okay, it's not with the A, it's with the I. Because I will always remember suggestible as suggestible with the A, not an I. My wife later on told me, when are you going to fix it? I said, I did. She says, yeah, but isn't it with an A?
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that one, but I know one that's exactly similar to that for me. And that's the word definitely. The word definitely used to have an A, and that's an I now. It used to be definitely, D-E-F-I-N-A-T-E-L-Y. That A is now an I, indefinitely.
Yeah.
And the dilemma for people that were listening has a double M in it now, no silent N. So there's millions of people around the world that are all spelling the word dilemma wrong, and they're all putting a silent N where it never was. Think about that, dude. It was dilemma with a silent N. Now it's never had it, dude.
Yeah. Even Michael Kahn says, I think it was suggestible with the A too.
Interesting.
Really weird. Because I was looking at the definitions lately as well, and it all says suggestible. But I mean, the eyeball with the I is literally taken from able. So why would they put eyeball instead of able if it's taken from able?
Yeah.
Really odd stuff. Nobody wants to come in and chat?
Yeah, if you guys want to come on in. Drop the link. We dropped the link. We're rolling. Come on in.
I'm sure Michael, you maybe want to come in and talk about your A-team thing, because he had a comment after his A-team video.
Oh, the van. Yeah.
The van. Yeah. There was a guy that.
Oh, yeah. Come on, Mike. And another big word change to me is cemetery. Cemetery used to have an A in it, and now it has 3 E's. There's no A in cemetery.
I remember that. Yeah. Cemetery. I was used to hear the cemetery.
You also used to be able to spell a lot as obviously as 2 words, but there was a lot, 1 word too, ALOT, like a lot of something. That'll always spell correct you and separate it into 2 words now. The American dollar sign, the American dollar sign in America. If I would ask you guys to picture what the dollar sign looks like, what would you say? Just picture it. Say it if you were to instruct me how to draw it. Yeah, and now it's always had 1 line. It's an S with 1 line through it. And if you got, and it's still used in different international places. So like you will see it for certain things with the 2 lines. But in America, it's always 1 line now. And if you guys don't believe me, look down at your keyboard right now, your physical keyboard, not even just your phone, and your physical keyboard above the number 4 is going to have an S with 1 line through it.
It does, yeah.
Crazy, right? Doesn't matter how old. Yeah.
And I remember with 2. Definitely remember it with 2.
Definitely with 2, man.
Michael is in. There we go. Hey, Michael, how's it going, mate?
Cool. And then when we slow down on the talk, remind me to talk about my personal Mandela effect. Go ahead. Yeah, Mike, what's up, man?
Can you hear us, Michael?
Yeah, Mike.
I don't know. Brian was roboting for me then. I didn't hear what you said, Brian.
I was just saying hi. He said you were going to come in and tell us about your A-team Mandela effect and some experience you had, or a comment, or you did a video. But you should tell people what people here know. Tell them what the change is first. I think most people know. Yeah. Oh, Flatzoid, what I was saying is when we slow down the conversation and don't let me worry about my name.
I think the time is, yeah.
So
Michael,
I've got this A-team book.
Yeah.
I'm breaking up.
A bit, yeah.
And if you go to that page, it's all black.
Oh, nice. Yep.
And then if you go to that page as well, it's all black.
Yeah.
And I used to have toys as well when I was little. That were all, they spend loads of time making all figures right detailed, but they couldn't be bothered to paint half it blank, but Van Grey. And funny thing is, I had a comment in my comments under that video. Some guy who used to spray paint custom vehicles for people, and he used to do loads of A-team vans back in the 80s, and he said he painted them all black with a red stripe.
Yeah, all black with a red stripe. And I showed a video on my stream yesterday because I was at Huntington Beach, right next to where I was talking to those preachers. There's like a flea market, and a guy's doing Volkswagen custom woodworkings that he made with his hand. And of course, they're all merged together with no brake. But he has these stands that they're on that were mass produced and sent to him. And the stands that they're on have the Volkswagen logo with the brake. So I explained to him, what was going on. There's a lot to go on with vans. There's that van change. There's the van in Back to the Future. It used to be like a Toyota van. Now it's that big Volkswagen one. But crazy.
Hey, PJ. Thank you for coming in.
How you doing? You good? I was just thinking. Does anyone you remember Christopher Reeve from Superman, the old 70s Superman? Well, I always remember him as Christopher Reeves. I don't know if it's just me, but I'm sure it had an S in it. But now it's just Christopher Reeve. So I mean, I'm not sure.
Not only is it not just you, I actually have a video of that on my list. He's a big one for me. That's a big. It's on my short list.
Yeah, dude, I was thinking about because I remember, and it went out of my head for a while, but then it just came back into it then, and I always remember him as Christopher Reeves, but now it's just one. It's just Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, dude, and it was very iconic because I remember when like Superman would start, it would have those really huge letters coming through space to put the credits in front of you. It was so iconic seeing Christopher Reeves on there. A really significant piece of residue is that show called I think it's like American Pawn Stars, or one of those shows. They have like a pawn shop, you know. And so this guy comes in and he's got this costume, Superman costume, 1978 from the movie set. So he's like trying to get like a couple $100,000 for this thing, right? So the pawn guys bring in, you know, their expert to make sure it's authentic, and he's looking at it with rubber gloves on and stuff. And then he's like, yeah, and look, and they even have his name embroidered into the tag of the Superman official costume that he wore for the movie. It says Christopher Reeves with an S.
Wow. That's amazing, isn't it? That's absolutely amazing. Crazy.
Yeah, and you know, we had that medical condition and all that, and because of that, there's so much documentation and medical journals and stuff with his name, and there's loads of residue in those things.
Yeah, it's got to be, isn't there? Got to be. Yeah.
I think it's really odd how people can still deny the evidence for this.
It's insane, dude. There's more evidence for this than anything I've ever seen. It's everywhere, dude. And it's like, man, you really got to go through some self-doubt to shut this down. You're really doubting your senses, people. That's why it's so important, man. And even past the Mandela, everything you look at now, you should know, trust your experience and observation and everything. That doesn't mean not try and verify what we're saying here today, of course. And when you try and verify and dig, you're going to see that what we're saying here is legit. And I know you guys have resonated with a lot of these changes. At least a dozen or so have to hit everybody here that we talked about today. So there's going to be ones you don't know either way for sure. There's going to be ones that you think you can easily dismiss. I suggest you even look at those, because I'm not putting out fake Mandela effects out here. And then there's going to be some that I know hit you hard. Try and debunk those. Try and look when these things would change. Try and find old copies that are the old way. You're going to come up empty-handed every time.
Yeah, exactly.
This is an interesting one. Alan Norton says the space shuttle blew up in 1984 and not 1986 in his world.
Yeah, wow. I've definitely heard people tell me I don't resonate with that one. But he's definitely not alone in that one. And that
I've never had that one.
Date that,
I've heard that before as well.
Yeah. There's like other iconic things too that have changed. Like, for instance, Rodney King. I know you guys probably didn't see Rodney King too much over there, but there was the LA riots started over here, and there was this guy that got beat up, Rodney King, and he did a speech where he was like, "Can't we all just get along?" And now that speech has changed. Now he says, "Can we get along? Can we just get along?"
Yeah. It's the same as is it the Sally Fields one? Was it Sally Fields? You love me, you really love me, or you like me, you really like me. That one was a big one as well, definitely. Because everybody,
and her name,
she had an emotional response to it, so people remembered it. You know.
Yeah.
She's even quoted it herself in an interview the wrong way, the way in which we used to say it was, "You like me, you really like me." Now it's, "You like me right now, you like me," right? She gets on an interview and she actually quoted herself the old way, dude. Like, it's crazy the amount of evidence that's taking place, you know?
Wow, it's crazy, isn't it?
Did you watch my video, Brian? That one where Ray Comfort, Living Waters guy, talking to that guy on plane?
Don't know if I saw it. Which one was it?
Yeah.
If I get it's you know that Living Waters guy, that Ray Comfort, is talking to a guy on plane, and it brings up Lion and Lamb, and then he just stops and says, "But no, sorry, really, it's the wolf." So he's like holding both versions of gatekeeping us.
Oh wow! Wow! No idea.
I'll get Lincoln.
I'm sorry, the Batsa Bro that you sent me? Yeah. I made a video on it. Yeah, thank you.
Not the thank you. No, that one. I've got a video on my channel. I'll get Link and get Flatside to play it, because this is crazy.
Oh yeah. Let's watch. Well, what's interesting about the Batsa Bro thing, when he was on with Russian Vids again, like a week ago, whenever it was, he was on with Russian Vids like 2 years ago. And Batsa Bro, who always talks about how much of a Christian he is and how much he's into the Bible, 2 years ago he went on there and he went into this Isaiah, and he quoted the lion and the lamb. So of course I made a video about it, put both their names in it. Of course I get no feedback from you. And when he was on, he goes on there and he starts talking about the book of Isaiah, and he says, when the lion lay down with the lamb or the wolf. He literally said that the other night. And I'm just like, oh, I wonder what he's come across in the last 2 years. And I wonder where his head's at. Now, I don't trust Bot Sabrell as far as I can throw him. I know people love him because of the funny thing happened on the way to the moon, but he's showing you astronauts in space and showing you a ball Earth out the window. Like, this is classic gatekeeping, when just like what we talked about, when you realize the moon shit's no good,
Yeah, but something that doesn't make sense about him. If you
I'm going to copyright.
Yeah, exactly. If he's about truth, why is he copyright striking people trying to...
He hates flat Earth. He's made it very clear. He used to have a disclaimer under all his videos that's like, about the moon landing, but I don't like flat Earth, and and now he's quoting lion and lamb in the same breath, telling you can be either or. For his sake, I hope he just, I hope what happened is, I made that video or somebody brought it to his attention. He realized his Bible says wolf, and he's thinking there's got to be other ones out there that say lion. And I know a lot of you people are thinking that. Go and look for those Bibles, because you're not going to find them. They all say wolf now.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that? As Derek Nelson just said, just asked my mum too if she remembered who played the first Superman. She said Christopher Reeves straight away. Yes. I think a lot of people would, to be honest.
Yeah. There's a lot of name changes, and that's I'm not. It's a hard way to convey Mandela effect, but I have a list of name changes that's like 100 deep. I mean, there's so many that I resonate with. It's really, dude.
Because I mean, there was another Superman back in the 30s, wasn't there? There was a George Reeve who played him as well. So a lot of people might put that into it,
Yeah, and then that's what people tried to say to me, and it's like, I never watched that. I started with Christopher Reeves and the movies that came out in the late 70s and early 80s. I was born in 77. I had no idea who George Reeves was until they tried to say I'm mixing him up with Christopher Reeves. It's the way it always goes. They actually try and use the residue against you. They'll be like, well, the reason you have that is one show did the parody wrong. They all ran with it, and now this is what it's like, I never looked for these clips of other people imitating Mr. Rogers. I grew up singing Mr. Rogers every day. But now that I know that it's changed, look what I find. Everybody else is doing it that way too,
Madness.
Yes, Eduardo also talking about George Reeves.
Yeah.
It's their way of trying to make a denial claim.
Yeah. It's so frustrating, man. I get really disappointed when I see people go into that denial mode. And it's like, dude, I'm not here. Like, a lot of people have actually gotten insulted because I said the Mandela effect. And it's like, dude, I'm pointed it out. It's like, I'm not here to make fun of you. In fact, I agree with you. I think you're correct. All of these people around me think you're correct. And by the way, here's a shit ton of physical evidence to back it up that nobody's telling you about. Why are you mad at me, bro? Why are you mad at me, bro?
Exactly.
So you get spoke to just like you do off ballers from people who are flat earthers. Do you know what I mean? It's
for years I've been trying to wake them up, dude. I mean, I got kicked out of so many flat earth groups early on for mentioning the Mandela effect, like in 2015, 2016. I mean, really. And so I and me, I'm into all these things, and I love the community of people, and I try and bring everybody together. And I think so many people have a lot to offer. But yeah, I've had a lot of frustration, very frustrated over the denial by people that you guys are smarter than that, man. That they lied about reality. They lied about the supernatural. Well, here it is. It's all played out now, God or Satan. The Bible's changing. The land masses of the earth are in the wrong place. People have risen from the dead, and physical matter's changing in your house retroactively all the way back to its origin point. And we're all, for the most part, experiencing the same ones. Like, let's try and figure out what this all means,
Yeah. I got a video up that Mike sent me. Is that one?
Yeah.
Talking about?
Yeah, let's watch it.
57 seconds, I think so. I'll just get on the music. The scriptures are being supernaturally changed, okay?
We say the lion shall lie down by the lamb. It's actually the wolf lie down by the lamb, but that's the coming kingdom. Where we say the lion shall lie down by the lamb. It's actually the wolf lie down by the lamb, but that's the coming kingdom. Where we say the lion shall lie down by the lamb. It's actually the wolf lie down by the lamb, but that's the coming kingdom.
If you believe the wolf lies the lamb, error, yep. Exactly.
And
Michael.
then, you know, I could show you guys so many videos of me getting people to, you know, fill that in for me. Just, you know, like I said, just the other day, or every time I go to the beach, I try and talk to people. I find it's a great place, and people are always out on the street trying to preach. And man, and I'm not rude. I talk to them in a nice way, and I tell them I have an interesting take on the Bible, and I want to ask you some questions. Is that okay? Yeah. And they always say, yeah. And I'm just asking them chapter and verse, and then I'm dropping a bomb on them, you know? I got a good one. If you don't mind me playing a clip, I will. Please. So, yeah. Okay, I'm just going to grab it. It's going to take me about 30 seconds to get it. So if you can just fill in the time for 30 seconds.
I'm having loads of trouble with StreamYard. I don't know what's up with that. You all keep roboting and that. So
yeah, you just kicked me out a second ago as well. I don't know what.
It seems a bit better when I've stopped my camera, but I don't know what's up with it. Like, I've only got StreamYard up and I've shut everything down and it's still roboting. So
that's why I put the camera off, because it was doing weird stuff.
Okay.
I'm ready to roll. Go on then, Brian.
Okay. Yeah. So this is me at Huntington Beach, where there's 3 guys preaching with the Bible in their hand, trying to get attention on the street. So I'm going to approach them, and I am going to ask them guys about Matthew 18:20 with the 2 or more to 2 or 3 change, and the lion and the lamb. And you'll see how I ask them. I don't give them multiple choice. I don't put any answers in their head. I get them to open their Bibles right then and there. You know, not everybody's going to walk away mind blown. Some people are still going to think, well, I'm definitely going to find another translation or another verse, but they won't. Hopefully they'll look more. But just have a listen. So people that say we don't do any investigation, man, I do so much out in the public talking to people about this stuff, and flat earth and Rona and 9/11 and all this stuff, man. This is real investigation. And clearly, like I said, over and over, these people have the exact same memory word for word as what we've been saying the entire time. They're not crazy. They're not dumb. They're not losing their senses. Your memory's fine, people. Your memory's not perfect, but your memory is not failing you. Let's recognize this and try and decode what we're seeing. And I'm just going to play it. It's like 6 minutes. Is that cool?
Yep.
All right, cool.
What do you guys got going on over there? You spin the wheel. You try to answer a question, and you don't have to know the answer. What are the questions about? No, they're about God. About Jesus. Come back to earth. Yeah, they're all different kinds of questions. But you don't have to know. You guys read the Bible a lot? Oh, yeah. How about you? What's your favorite version? My favorite version? Yeah. It depends on the mode. I like the old King James, but excellent. But I'll read the New King James just because it's easier in English. I like the Greek better. I like actually checking out what the words mean in Greek. If I had to go back to the original, I had a couple questions about the King James. Actually, if I asked you, would you be able to answer them? I don't know. Like just some passages, like Isaiah 11:6, right? What animal lies with the lamb? What animal? Without looking it up off the memory, you know. For the lion, according to the New King, I don't remember what the lion, right? Yeah, the lion lays with the lamb. Yeah, 100%, right? As far as I remember. Can you guys explain to me? What does it say in the Greek, though? Is there a different word? No. But so the lion lays with the lamb, right? What about do you know what Matthew 18:20 says? When 2 or what gather? When 2 or what? When 2 or more gather. Matthew 18:20, right? Now, if you pull out your Bible right now, your King James, New King James, either one, and you look up Isaiah 11:6 or Matthew 18:20, Isaiah 11:6 will not say the lion laid with the lamb. What does it say? It will say the wolf. And Matthew 18:20 will not say 2 or more gather. It will say 2 or 3. Even in your own Bible, 18:11 KJV. I don't know the 16:11. Well, even if you have a Bible that's been in your possession, I'm not talking about revised, reissued, retranslated the last few years. I'm saying supernaturally changed. Well, you remember what I remember. Where two or more have gathered in my name, there I am. Matthew 18:20.
What's your name again?
Brian Staveley.
Nice to meet you.
You too, man.
Ricardo.
Say hi, Ricardo. Oh, I said the wrong way. So when I asked you Isaiah 11:6, you said the lion. And I remember the lion too. When you open this, I guarantee you it's going to say the wolf.
Well, I'm just curious about 1820.
No, 18:20. Two or more are gathered, like you said. It will say where two or three are gathered.
It says 2 or 3. That's what it says here.
Interesting, right? Interesting, right? I could also tell you that the word matrix is also in the Bible like 6 times in the King James.
So what is your point then? I'm just curious.
My point is that something has happened into this reality where the Bible and the scriptures are being supernaturally changed. It's up to people to decide what's happening, but I didn't lead you guys with any answers. I didn't lead you with any answers. I asked you to fill in the blanks. And I didn't give you choices. I said, what animal lied with the lamb? He said the lion. I said, where two or what gather? You guys said where two or more gathered. Now it says where two or three are gathered. In any Bible. I know that sounds ridiculous, but if you pull yours out, you will see. No. Yeah, I'm glad.
Videotape. So the point is what? I'm just curious.
The point is I want to get what people's take is on it when they have a strong memory.
What's my
I have
point?
the same memories as you guys. With two or more. 2 or 3 says. I have a strong memory with two or more gathered. Or Isaiah 11:6. What animal lied with the lamb? What would you say?
What animal was that? That lies with the lamb?
Yeah.
Or it's the lion?
Yes, exactly. It was the lion.
All day, every day,
I
baby.
didn't give him all the points or anything. He said the lion. When you look it up, though, in your own Bible, it will say the wolf. And I'm not talking about Bible Hub Online only. I'm talking about whatever Bible you have, it will say the wolf. Now, when I first brought this, not just me, but other people brought this to people's attention, because, for instance, in the King James Version, it changed first. So we told people, look, it's the wolf now. And they all knew it was the lion. So they would come with the NIV, all these other versions, say, no. In here, it's still the lion.
So what's your point, though?
My point is that your Bible has supernaturally changed.
You know what this is? It's that one effect.
Mandela effect. I'm the main guy talking about that.
Mandela
Yeah.
effect.
Let me give you my card.
Give me my card. Give me a call. I'm gonna call you up when
Yeah, man.
Bro.
Yeah.
Mandela effect.
Yeah. I know it sounds ridiculous, but you guys did answer me word for word what I remembered, and you're looking now, and you're looking something else up. Yeah.
These brothers.
Yeah. Yes. And now they're the Berenstain. But that's just a little thing to me, but like bigger thing.
Yeah, yellow, which is a lion.
Just got these guys, the Bible teachers.
Or lamb, it says yellow.
Yeah. Interesting.
So the wording.
So yellow would kind of go with the lion.
But you guys didn't read you guys didn't learn from the original Hebrew, right? You guys both remembered lion, and you guys didn't learn from the original Hebrew. I mean, people can tell you that's where you learned it from, but I asked you both and you filled it in as lion. I remember lion, everybody remembers lion. You know?
Unless there's another passage
Yeah.
that we're not seeing right now.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Same thing with two or more are gathered, though. Two or more are gathered. When it changed in a few versions at first, and people would come back, oh no, it still says two or more. It doesn't say 2 or 3 in all of them. And I've watched them incrementally change. Every Bible now says where 2 or 3 are gathered in Matthew 18:20.
So it's
So what do you think is going on then? What is
our reality is
6
malleable.
feet away, right?
That is my point, my man. Because I made videos on are the scriptures changing because of what's happening with the coronavirus nonsense. And I saw Governor Holcomb from Indiana come on TV and use that changed scripture.
Well, I use that. I mean, that's tongue in cheek.
Yeah, well,
Tongue in
I've seen
cheek.
him come out and say it doesn't say where 2 or 3 are gathered. It doesn't say where 2 or 3 are gathered. It says where 2 or 3 are gathered. Stay in your house. Blah blah blah. I've seen him come out and use that. It scares me. Trying to bring it to people's attention. All the changes.
Well, the word of God is
I know.
eternal.
I know people will say it can't change, but what if it did change? Would you want to know?
So what's going on in your head?
Figure it out.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Okay, man. Just keep looking, okay? And you'll see what I say has actually changed in all the hard copies. Thank you.
So this aired 2 years ago, 2 years and 10
And
days
it
ago.
got top news. What? Why has it got such?
What about that one? What about that one where that guy made his own gravestone that were Lion and Lamb, Brian?
Oh yeah, the Henry C. Church. Yeah, he had a huge monument of the Lion and Lamb made based on the quote of Isaiah, and he had it. He was standing at his gravestone years before he died. Like, it was this whole ordeal. It's endless, dude. And this has so little views just because it's Odyssey. It was on my YouTube channel, but they gave me a strike for the video. You know, because this video was part of a whole live stream where I was going around talking to everybody about Rona. You know, trying to tell them, you know, don't put the thing. And the whole thing. That's why I was out there. But I take every opportunity I can, man. If I see somebody holding a Bible, I'm gonna go talk to them about Bible changes, and I get them every time. Why can I do that? If this isn't really happening, why can I constantly walk over to people and not just one or two verses? I can get them with tons of stuff for everything from geography, the Bible, to any type of Mandela effect. It's too easy, man. Shooting fish in the barrel. That's what it was. That's what reality was.
It don't weigh up to me though that millions of people can all be misremembering the same thing. Yeah, it's crazy that to me.
It's certainly strange. I mean, and I certainly think it's supernatural without a doubt. I don't pretend to know how it's happening, the dynamics of it, or anything like that. But I certainly say, I would say it's supernatural. You know what I mean? Like a great delusion, so to speak, like it says in the Revelation.
Well, everybody who gets to Fat Earth finds that this place is created, so that's a supernatural being's created everything you can see with your eyes. You know what I mean? And this place is totally supernatural, so why can't supernatural things happen to it?
Exactly.
Yep, agreed. Guys, I don't think we can go on much longer though.
Yeah, that's
because I still got work in the morning.
Of course. Keep forgetting what time.
Can I just screen share for a second and show people my list of videos?
Yes, please do. And yeah, guys, please do go to his link. I do have your link in my description for you guys. Please do go and subscribe to him if you haven't, and do watch it, because I think it's information we all need to take in, and I think it's quite a lot of information. It could obviously not get through everything on one stream, but do go. I'll put your playlist as well for the people in the chat. So
cool, yeah, and it's probably good. We save some for another time, and we'll wait and let it sink in a little. Let people do some investigation. Okay, so when you come to my channel, like most people, there's different playlists. If you go to this list, the Dose of Reality Show with Brian, every video I do, I put on this list, and generally you can find the newer stuff at the top of the list. But as far as Mandela, so this is my Mandela Effect short videos. Okay, each video is about one change or a group of changes, and I break it down. I show loads of evidence and residue, give you my take on what I think it means, and so here's everything we talked about: geography, Black Tom, Thinker statue. Is Mandela Effect changing scripture to push the Rona? More anatomy changes. There's that Torpedo Alley. Planets in the Bible, international versions of movies, Lion and Lamb, on and on. Germany changes, geography changes, more Bible changes that we didn't even get into, artwork, monuments, movies, all sorts of everything. I don't want to take too long doing this, but you can see there's the Christopher Reeves right there.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got a few on Volkswagen. All the ones we talked about are like all on here.
Well, I've got a few more to watch.
All my interviews there's a playlist of just Mandela Effect interviews right here.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are, for other interviews that I've done, and I'll put this on here after. So there's like probably 40 of them there. And there's also a Bible playlist for people that are into the Bible. I made a list, just my ones that cover scripture are all on this page right here.
Hey, look,
check it out.
Sad thing is, I still see people driving out of face diapers in here. I don't know why. But
It's crazy. And for anybody who doesn't know, I cover a lot more. And when the Rona first started, I mean, I was out there the first week, second week in March, exposing these empty facilities and whatnot. And I took 14 flights without covering my face, filmed it all to show everybody, talk to business owners, all of this. That's all stuff I've done, but it's not on YouTube for obvious reasons. But it is on my Rona playlist on my Odyssey. There's a playlist of all my flights with no mask on the Odyssey. All my 9/11 stuff, Odyssey, Rockfin as well. Okay, I got like a ton of 9/11 stuff, and if we ever do 9/11, we'll have to do a whole show, and I'll get just as deep with that as I will this, dude. It's wild.
You should actually email me your Odyssey link, then I can stick it in the description as well for everybody.
Yeah. I'll give that to you right now, and I'll open it while I still have the screen share. So if you come to my Odyssey, you just go to playlists. So if you go to content, the cool thing about Odyssey, right? So everything's in order, newest to oldest, snaking down. But you can use a search on Odyssey. So you want to see what I've done on Tom Hanks, right? Look at this. Tom Hanks related stuff comes right to the top of the list. But if you go to playlists, so I have almost 1,900 videos here. So I only got 1,300 on YouTube. They deleted 600 videos of mine over 5 years even. Here's a whole. We won't go too deep into it here, but there's 38 videos in chronological order. So this is like one of the first interviews I did in 2010, 2011, going all the way forward until the one I did this year on Boston Ray's channel and a couple other shows I did. So that's all on here. And then, of course, like I said, you can see my stuff to do with that PSYOP that's been going on, all my flights, Mandela Effect shortlist is here, all the videos I've done with Steffi in California on the streets like Huntington Beach and all this other stuff. That's all on this playlist. So yeah, check out my Odyssey too if you want to get into all that stuff.
Yeah, because the nice thing about that is you're not so censored as you are on this, so you can talk freely what you need to say.
Never had anything deleted off Odyssey, and it has my complete archive. They've never deleted anything, so it's a great backup. And if you're not using it, dude, it's as easy as linking your channel and auto import if you want. And it'll grab your back videos too. It'll grab them all. Yeah, you should just do it. It's free. You'd be crazy not to. Yeah.
So yeah, wanted to say thank you for coming, Brian. Thank you for Michael and PJ also coming on to say something.
No problem.
I think it was an epic stream.
Loved it. Fantastic stream. Yeah, I think you had the most ever audience so far tonight, haven't you?
120, yeah, 120.
Yeah, that's good, man. It's getting thanks to Brian as well coming on. That helped a lot.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I'll have you on my show at some point. Not too far. Yeah, that'd be cool, man.
Yeah, but I think the information you brought was actually very good. I think we have to do it again so you can bring the other information as well.
We can do whatever you do. We can do 9/11. We can do a Rona show. Obviously, what'll have to be done as far as where you put that video. But we can do Flat Earth. I mean, I can get into all of it. I've been around. So
awesome.
Yeah, and I everybody that watches this, because I'll mirror it on my channel later. Everybody that watches this, make sure you sub and bell. Flatzoid's Perspective. Obviously, I'll put a link when I put it up. You've been doing great work. Like I said, anybody that got here late, he's been really doing good in some of the debates. And I stopped watching debates years ago. It's not really me after a while, but like I every once in a while I do like to see what the bigger troll channels are saying. I do watch. I don't watch all their content, but when they put out a short video or something, I want to see what's being said. So sometimes I watch it, and then I actually shout out if he's in the chat, because Steve Finneran sent me the link when you were doing the Mandela stream. So that's how I found out you were streaming, man.
Awesome. Yeah, because I know someone from Bro Sanchez also came through, wants to get me in touch with him as well. So
cool.
Yeah, that was cool. But yeah, I just literally debate like people like FTFE and stuff just for the game, because there is no actual debates.
No, you do it proper. Like I said, you don't just let them get away with anything, and you don't, you make it a conversation where you don't lose your cool. I like when you just every once in a while you just laugh at them, just real quick. I'll just hear you laugh at the bullshit that comes out, and then it's hilarious, dude.
Well, like Fight the Flat Earth. Is that your hand? No, it's not.
Well, I remember his one argument was the refracted hand, and now it's saying your hand doesn't touch your hand.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
It's the electrons that if you stab yourself, if you cut yourself with a knife, you don't actually touch skin with a knife. It's the electrons that push the other electrons apart. It's just ridiculous.
But you didn't get that when I said, okay, so you sharpen the knife so there's more pressure, so less electrons, and it cuts you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Is a knife sharpening stone sharpening electrons?
Yeah, apparently electrons touch each other, and that's what's cutting. It's not really the knife cutting you.
Just wild. So do you do anything that's a regular scheduled show at all? Or you just go live whenever you feel?
I usually go live every night.
Okay.
Practically. But I did say recently now I want to try and do once a week take off, because it does take a lot on a person. So from next week I want to take every Wednesday off. Yeah. And then I try and release a video at least once a week as well.
Cool, man. I'll be looking forward to it.
Practically every night.
You definitely owe me one. You got to come on my show. Maybe. Maybe
just tell me when.
Yeah. Just in a few weeks we'll do it. I'll let you know, like in like a week or two, and we'll plan.
Awesome. Yeah, I've actually got if you're interested, I've got a Glober coming in Saturday to give a presentation for so-called globe evidence.
I'm sure it's going to be a lot of whiteboard action, right?
Yeah. Stay tuned. It's about spherical axis.
I'm sure.
So that's gonna be fun. Next Friday, it was supposed to be next Saturday, but now it's next Friday. It sounds so far that FTFE's got one of his supporters that wants to debate me on celestial navigation. So that should be interesting.
Where going to happen on your channel, or where is it happening?
Well, I'll stream it on my channel. It's on FTFE's channel, but I'll be streaming it. So.
Oh, you both stream it, so there's two different chats. Yeah, who wants to mix up with those chats? Those guys are idiots.
Exactly.
Hey, Martin Nika, good to see you. Wow, glad you could make it. I never thought I'd ever see that name in chat. Martin Nika, thank you for coming. You're a bit late.
Hey, Martin. You're late too.
But it's good to see you. Yeah, definitely do watch the stream from the beginning because it was epic. Really good information presented. Just gonna say, Martin Litka, keep up the great work because that's also a guy that really gives awesome presentations. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've been watching Martin and Brian for about 7 years.
Yeah, I did Awakening episode with Martin like 4 years ago. I interviewed him on his Awakening. You guys should check that out. That was an epic stream.
Cool.
Yeah, on my playlist. Yeah. Cool. All right, man. Well, I guess I'll get out of here and go grab some lunch. Thank you for having me on. And anybody that, if whatever reason you have trouble with the link, I know it is linked under the video. It's just Brian S Staveley on every platform, and you'll be able to find me.
Definitely. Thank you very much again for coming, Brian. Let me stay in contact.
Thanks for coming on, Brian. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Nice one, bro. Nice one.
Yeah, we'll do it again because I know you'll get some feedback. So we should wait a few months, but we'll do it again over here. But before that, we'll do something on my channel. I'll let you know.
Awesome. Yeah, whatever you want, definitely just hit me up. Thank you very much for coming again, Brian.
All right, brother.
You too, short mate. And thank you, everybody in chat for coming. You guys are really awesome. I really did enjoy the stream. I must say it was a lot to take in because it's some new things I did not know about. So yeah, thank you all for being here. And it just bothers me. I can say bothers me. My understanding doesn't go to why it triggers some people on the subject. I don't know. I don't see the reason why it needs to trigger anyone.
No.
But yeah, on my opinion,
if you think it's totally stupid, if you think it's totally stupid, then why even be around people that talk about it? They're causing that pain to themselves.
Well, that's it.
Exactly. So yeah, it was awesome. I think it's definitely a thing to carry on with, and like I said, I want to see if I can get Dave in to talk about the Bible part of it as well, where the scriptures have changed, because he has good knowledge with the Bible changes. So that's also quite cool.
That'd be great.
So yeah, guys, thanks all for coming. Appreciate everybody being here. I'm going to get some sleep now. I've got to wake up in a few hours for work. You guys are awesome, and blessings. and may the pressure be with you.